Yo, 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 check, 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 baby, check. 1, 2, 3. Welcome to the stream. Kita nobar PGS 7.
Hello everybody and welcome back once again to the PUBG Global Series 7 Day 2 featuring Groups B and C. My name is Porosaurus. Joining me on the cast for what the first time in what feels like forever, it is Paper Thin. My goodness, my friend, what are you doing here? Well, you had a heck of a day yesterday, and it's shaping up to be a heck of a day here today, too.
Dude, it was so fun yesterday. I mean, so many hot drops, so much action, a lot of cool teams stepping up to the plate and performing well. Twisted Minds to be expected, but TKL really popping off some great team fighting that we saw out of them. So really excited to see what they can do again. Obviously, this team is
Siapa ya?
the favorites. They are
Kira-kira yang akan.
champions back to back to back. Man, so can they do it again? But then,
Iya, kalau Twist menang lagi sih GG sih.
This is my odds-on favorite.
Excellent, gacuan gua fix. Pero kali ini GG nih.
What else can you say?
I mean, look, they showed out in a big way during PCL. And, you know, I think that everybody in the lobby has to be terrified of Petrichor Road, not to mention the fact that we haven't even talked about Freaks yet.
Oh, yeah.
And Freaks were doing just disgusting things over in Korea. But Twisted Minds, they started off slow in their regional series, but they came in today, and I think there were some question marks kind of hanging around whether that team was really still kind of having the motivation to go and reproduce what we saw last year, which, to be fair, was godly. Like, expecting that again would be insane. But so far, they've delivered.
Yeah, no, it is just kind of business as usual. I mean, what else do you have to say? They're phenomenal in every aspect of the game, and that hasn't let up. I mean, obviously, PGC was disappointing, but beyond that, they're probably the best team in the world. They're probably the best team in the world, and it's hard to argue otherwise.
You know, yeah, I mean, until somebody steps in and takes the throne from them, like that is their crown, right? Like, you win 3 in a row, and despite, as you said, the missteps at PGC, like, they are still top dogs. And, you know, we talked about a couple of teams that were in contention in the forms of Petrichor Road and those Freaks.
Yeah.
But we saw 17 yesterday. 17 Gaming is putting on a show so far this year, but we got a little bit of a slow start given the consistent hot drops that they had with Navi. No Navi in the lobby here today, so will
Iya, aja kemarin
be able to produce now that they don't.
kayaknya 4 map apa 5 map sih.
Yeah, I mean, I think you've got to be excited for
Barangan, cok, turunnya sih gokil anjir. Navi sama 17 Gaming, cok.
I mean, they were still very strong in those hot drops.
Anjir, perang mulu mereka. Cok sih, seru banget itu aja.
Exactly. So, like, they can get it done in a lot of different aspects of the game, and they're just showing again why basically teams for a while had stopped messing with them in the hot drops. It's because they generally are too strong in those situations. They're pretty good out in the open. We know what they can do on Erangel in the past, but this is a very chaotic Erangel. We all have been talking about this, how...
Ramar dulu baru pertama ya. Let's go, guys.
Yeah, no, Erangel has turned into the bloody pastures as we are ready to get the plane in the air and send it to our first map. The boys are ready. You can hear the screams in the background. We're ready. Hope you guys are ready too, because here is game number 1 of day 2.
Oh, I am so excited. Yesterday was just a blast. Even though there might not be any hot drops on this map today, still, the action was incredible. The hot drops were just kind of like spreading it all out. Like,
I know.
Well, we had well-buttered toast.
From the word go.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just nuts. And the fact that they kept it going in for at the beginning of the day anyway.
Raid 1, let's go. Irengel lagi. Bukannya ganti ya. Nama Irengel. Hari besok Miramar besok gitu dah. Enggak kah? Kita lihat di sini.
We do have the same map order today, so we will be starting on Erangel, just moving over to Tego and Rondo and
Ke kiri, Pero di situ.
Get to see that Erangel
Buset, pero ngambilnya 2 gitu ya, Milbes sama ini. Oke.
Do a little bit of a weather report earlier and let everybody know that
DNF sih bahaya nih, dulu KDF ya DNF, sekarang jadi KDF.
the drops channel in the private drops channel.
Kalau kata gue zonanya si school, zona di sini sih kalau kata gue nih. Agak naik ke atas tengah-tengah sini. Tuh rozok dapat harusnya ya. Kalau di sini oke juga sih, ini tengah-tengahnya laut sih. Iwan sama TKL, let's go. Iwan TKL dari kemarin juga sama juga kayak pas di Miramar dah. What the heck? Kita lihat specimen ini. Ntar guys, kita pindah ini guys.
Oh my goodness, within a matter of seconds, TKL dispatching T1, and you can hear them letting them know
TKL dance.
Naya belongs to them.
This team continues to just absolutely be dominant in their team fights. The micro game for them, absolutely incredible.
Turun lagi.
Man, heartbreak for T1. You know, they had to contest with 4 AM at times in this spot yesterday. They were able to win it pretty cleanly the last go around, but this time, different opponent, different results. And Taikula, I don't know what to say about them. They are fraggers, man. They are fun to watch. They are so well coordinated.
And not only that, just pulling some
Rata lu T1 lu kacau. Wah, nggak dapet guys, di sini banget ternyata. Kalau kata gue sih nanti zona di sini nih.
Just kind of sunning them in their own hometown. Well, meanwhile, the circle did pop, and it is going to favor down towards that southeastern side of the mainland, kind of centering up right around that shelter area where currently we see DN Freaks looting. And looks like the Expendables maybe getting a little bit close here to Furia. Yeah, Haven does not appear to have any indication that he is not alone.
Uts, ya ampun, Ivan gimana sih? Mati juga sih di Alvin. Kalau Darkjus.
Something they did at PGC as well when things didn't look like it was going as great as they wanted. They would go out for these early picks. They would go for these maneuvers to kind of build that confidence, build that momentum. Yeah. Obviously the points are nice, but I think for the Expendables, it's a lot of they need to get the flow of the game into them, and then they can kind of just play that more aggressive style that really suited them and why they ended up being PGC champions.
Well, I think you bring up a good point of them kind of paying attention. So, you know, we obviously talked about the fact that there is that drops channel, right?
Kalian di school tuh turunnya ya. Terus turunnya di sini kah? Di school juga tuh dia ngambil 2 langsung.
To kind of figure out where you might be able to catch a free point like that, and obviously they saw Furia yesterday. They saw Haven.
Ya harus turunin lagi ya guys ya.
Saw that Furia did that Lipovka split. Haven a little bit farther away from everybody else.
Ini cukup kah?
It's a pretty free and easy point if we go ahead and do it. So these are the pros and cons that come with letting everyone in the lobby know exactly where you're going to be at your most exposed.
Exactly. And the benefit is you have some tape to review. You can see a little bit of some tendencies of teams and kind of where you can catch them sleeping a little bit. And positions like that on Erangel that are out further away from the big cities. For a second there, I thought he was going to shoot him.
he's so used to everything happening yesterday. I don't know what to do. I'm by myself. What do I do with my hands?
17 in the first 10 minutes of the game, and I expect fighting. Okay, but this is the team that I'm probably the most excited about for this event. Is Petrichor Road. They have completely revitalized themselves. Obviously, Nan and Mingming, you know, the new happy PGC 2021 champions coming through, really bolstering the firepower of this squad. Chewy is still playing very, very well. And Eggs Left is Eggs Left. I mean, he is just a fragger. There is no other way to put it. The big question is, you know, with all the pressure that's going to be there, we're in Shanghai, we're on home territory for them. Can they get it done?
Suara aman ke suara?
In the past, Petrichor looked good and not been able to come out of it. But let's take a look. What happened here?
Just a little replays.
Ya ampun, type kasihan banget sih.
They didn't even just drop in Yasnaya. They dropped
ya
directly
ampun.
on top.
Mau kabur pada ya elah.
All the smoke and they delivered in such a big way and in such short.
Bete banget anjing.
Fight lasted a minute 30 before it was done.
Mati sih.
Now they've got a little bit of another problem.
Baby masa kalah. Spaceman.
Now there's only 2. There's still 2 members of VP that are still kind of off.
Sendirian doang ya, enggak deh.
Now arriving. You can see there on your mini map, but Ibiza
Dua tapi beda beda tempat anjir. Si Nixi sama ininya. Ya ampun.
That is it.
There
That's
we
it.
go. Okay, Fantastico.
Kabur sih.
Spotted out by Ixlef. So our hero is on the board with his first kill of PGS 7.
Didn't take him long.
Did
Just
not.
Right in the lobby and right into the action. This is curious for me for Virtus Pro Poro because they know that there was a fight. They
Ya
saw
kedengeran
T1
lagi
die to
stepnya.
kill feed. You 100%
Tuh harus
know
kedengeran
that's
di stepnya nih
Yao
harus ini.
That's a given. So is this you expecting that you might be able to catch TKL off guard, or are you expecting them to have rotated already so you can get a little bit more loot in your pockets?
Salute.
That's kind of curious.
You know, I'm gonna go ahead and give them the benefit of the doubt. I know that they have a phenomenal coach with them that knows how to read these lobbies. I'm gonna say that they tried to come in from the north side, think that they can maybe catch TKL when they were not expecting it. But unfortunately, I don't think they realized that there was one member for TKL that was still on the very, very north side in those apartments. So he heard them come in. He knows that they're there. And so now Taikula just is fully aware that there's a couple of players in there. So unfortunately for VP, they weren't able to be as sneaky as maybe they would like. So we'll see if they play it out a little bit longer. Now, they are still in the very, very far north side of the circle, but they're in circle. So they have time to kind of play this out and figure out what they want to do.
Aduh, Lukaruk sih mati sih, sumpah.
Cold's just ready. Lukarux was not. Cold is
Siapa
just gonna continue
ngira anjir ada di situ sih.
damage. He was one of your top fraggers. One of
Gila
the top
TKL
damage
sih
dealers
oke juga
yesterday.
ya.
And he is making life miserable for more teams. Virtus Pro sitting up on the roof. Beamy chilling there, hog in hand, now just proned out, not exactly sure what's going on. I think now Virtus Pro might have realized either they were a little too early to this party or they overread the situation or misread the situation. Trying to figure out exactly what they can do. Ibiza, a long time PUBG Pro, is trying to make a wide rack. It does have some open territory there, so some good relay of information from the other Virtus Pro members, and here we get to see Aches left kill onto Santastico.
Excelnya bro, abang-abangan gue nih. Gila padat banget tuh.
And that is going to be Rock losing their first player and Ixlef getting his first point now.
Cuan gue, cok.
Cole just kind of farming shots now. I mean, once you take that first shot, once you get that first kill, everybody knows exactly where you are, so there's no reason not to just keep on shooting. And I think Nixie was maybe hoping that he would catch Cole flipping going forward.
Gila bahaya banget. Ya, sampel, cok.
Too disciplined there, unfortunately. Twisted Minds, they take a knock onto Example from Heaven, but it looks like that should be easily resable, and DNF not really in a position to do any hard pushing off of this.
Oh, what a fun day it would be if we could get these two teams button heads.
Oh boy, wouldn't it?
Oh man,
That'd
be so good.
That'd be brutal.
I can talk a lot about the Freaks because obviously,
yeah,
I'm a big fan. I think some of the things that you're going to see different versus last year's Freaks is a little bit more of just aggression and confidence, especially in the late game. Tremendous DMRs all around, and they can take a lot of space because of that. So in the PWS, you'll watch them, and they're just covering a ton of the map. Now, what we're seeing here on the map isn't quite what I was seeing in the PWS, at least not yet. Could just be a circle thing. But they're a team that likes to take space, and because they have such talented individuals top to bottom, in particular the step up that Gumans had this year with his individual fragging capabilities on top of being the IGL for that team has really bolstered their ability to claim real estate and not let other teams interfere with them.
Well, the thought of them leveling up their game from where they were at the end of last year is slightly terrifying, because they were really starting to roll and get things rolling when we got down towards PGC. So we'll see what they do here, centered up around prison and around the center of the zone. Meanwhile, Hella, the rest of the squad, just off to that west of that logging camp. New circle is going to pop. It's going to favor a little bit more to the east. The E-pickup has been sent up by 17. Don't know if they will take that or if Xiaobei is just kind of looking to maybe do some scouting. Meanwhile, you can see Forest still off on the northwestern side, looking for a rotation path in. But all that that congestion up there in Yasnaya with Taukula and Virtus Pro is going to have to come to a head now as the zone is starting to crash in.
You've got Divine, one of our other Korean teams, lined up, quite fanned out, but because of the hillside, E-Arena, really nice driving path that they've taken so far to bypass that. DNF pushing their way up onto the edge of the prison can be a bit of a precarious position, but there is some cover, to that
Oh, they
wizard
do-
house
they do
that's on
take
the
it.
west.
Okay.
Yeah, why not?
That's man, that feels aggressive in a small circle such as this. But now that being said, now there is a lot of hills and a lot of stuff that they can
ampun.
find themselves working their way
Lagi.
towards. The arena has finally made landfall, but unfortunately for them,
Mati sih harusnya.
what
Nggak
remains
mungkin nggak mati
is
dong.
ready and waiting. Lurks
Kelas.
is going to get taken down. Jacob gets
Sama
stolen
saja.
away by Deal, so Freaks still have eyes on this as Kraken will get taken down. Gizera hard peeking around that rock. He's going to find Zizzy. Zizzy tries to get him with a drive-by, but Gizera ain't
Maksa,
having it.
nggak mau
Furia
nggak mau
picks
sih itu
off the
maksa
arena.
nih.
You love to see it. Gizera, such a good fragger coming in for Furia. Doing a
Gila.
phenomenal job there, and E-Arena tries to
Look
go
at
Party,
so
third
far into
party.
the circle, but Xiaobei, 17,
Already
they've
Xiaobei.
landed.
round as 17
Enak sih.
quickly off that E pickup. They saw the fight going on, and
Ya
immediately a grenade from Xiaobei will find the Kraken right off the res. Gizera will have to dodge, dive, and dip away from those bullets, but 17 smell blood in the water, and they are going to push across
Mati
these
sih,
rocks
sumpah.
until they spot out
Gizera kalau menang GG.
who will find. No, he's going to go down to Deal. Oh no, the third party.
Wah,
from
anjir,
Freaks
terparty
just
lagi sama
breaking
DNF anjing.
Furia's chances.
And this is my boy. Used to go by Bob Songhead, now is Deal, and he is incredible. A very talented young player who a lot of teams have been hoping can take that next step, take that next level. And with the Freaks so far this year, he has been quite good. While he hasn't been as good as the other three on this team, it is a star-studded roster, and the fragging power that that team has brought has opened up a lot for his own natural talent. Meanwhile, VP has lost another player, so just Ibiza and Nix
Gila
are
masih
gonna be
nahan lu.
alive, and they are in a really uncomfortable position. I mean, Ibiza's way out in Narnia. Nixie's stuck behind a shack on the northern side of Yasnaya. This is, that's not looking great for old Virtus Pro.
Well, fortunately for them, it looks like Taukula is popped the E pickup, so they might be instead of
Soalnya
sticking around trying
biarin
to
sendirian,
dig them
gokil
out,
banget, gila.
it might be discretion the better part of Valor trying to get into
Abang-abangan
the zone
gue.
with the points that we have. Meanwhile, Petrichor Road still playing around on that south side. They've got a 2-2 Bestia split just in front of them, but you can see DraftKings has already dropped
Lah,
another
buka ini lagi kah dia?
pickup in the air.
Lempar lagi anjir.
It's not even. It's. Oh my goodness! It's sharing the exact same flight path as the one TKL
Oh
is
my
taking.
God.
That's why I didn't see it. Okay, never. There it is.
It popped up.
It's going
Yeah,
south.
it
to
looked
north.
like it was almost doing it, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, Nixie.
Nixie, please?
We'll see them
Hello?
flying away. Oh, he's got there a little bit late. He's gonna make the spray. Get
Ya
some
ampun,
little bit of
telat
damage
banget.
in. But unfortunately,
Ente
they are
banget,
going
Nixie.
to get away scot-free here. And now Virtus Pro is left with 2, trying to figure out how to get into the next zone.
This has been a lot of fun. A lot of teams making E-pickups, making moves. I love 17 there, reading the kill feed, reading the situation, and realizing they could pounce on a team that was just weak enough that they could catch them while they were trying to get those reses,
Ih,
trying
bisa
to get
nyari
those
mobil
kills
tuh.
off. So fair
Goodness.
play to them.
Bestia, I think
Nggak
can't
dapet
take
dia.
this E-pickup, can they?
Well, I think they're just going to have to use it to regroup with Mime and Silzen.
Mau kemana
That's the
TKL?
only thing I can think
That's,
of.
I mean, I feel like that was the idea, but Rock and Expendables and Petrichor Road, all of them have eyes on this, but
got
somehow they actually get away and before
Wih,
getting
dapet
shot
loh.
at. So okay, fair play to
Gila.
Meanwhile, Takula
Bacanya oke.
landing
Iya,
there,
elah baru
themselves
mau dibilang
right on the
pembaca
doorstep
zonanya
line.
oke.
That's his eyes, and there you go.
Satu kecuali
Mime
Dons.
gets his first kill
He's done
of GS7, and now with that being said, every player in this lobby, or at least through
Baren.
through the lobby from yesterday, has gotten a kill so far. As we check in with Forrest and
Mati dong.
Trade,
Kalian please.
scrapping a bit on the north side under the watchful eyes of 17, and the blue zone grenade will have to force Belmoth out, but not before he gets his pound of flesh.
Yeah, this is really good defense so
Enggak,
far
anjir.
for
Udah pakai
Day-Trade.
ituan.
Olympus trying
Mati.
to find that tight angle
shit.
onto Tigger, but Olympus able to dodge it.
Oh,
Nope, no
no.
longer. Day-Trade continues to be really strong in this event. Some new players, some new looks for this Day-Trade team, but some similar results. They are still a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, Tigger just leveling up his game from last year. He is just continuing to progress and get better and better and better, and Day-Trade being the beneficiaries of that one, as they managed to take care of Force, and importantly, they managed to take care of them quickly and without any knocks, and so 17 not really in a position to take advantage of that fight. So good stuff for them. Twisted Minds, meanwhile, Batulin's going to spot out. Wonderful, off in the distance. Twisted still have Lou left way off in the northwest in the blue, so they're taking their time making their way in here, being very methodical as you would expect.
Absolutely, and that's
Iya
why you're
betulnya
seeing
sih.
Tulin's
Oh
not
tapi masih di
take any
bawahnya
shots,
ya.
not take any risks, even though he maybe had an opportunity to get the knock onto Wonderful. Just
Gilmin juga
it's
dibiarin
not worth it there.
sendiri.
You don't really have great angles. Coming up that hill can be really dangerous. So you just want to make sure that you're gonna find your right moment to maximize those points.
Barpo.
Meanwhile, VP
Oh
at
Barpo
the
dulu
mansion,
T1 ya,
still making their
pindah
way
kah dia?
through. It's still phase 3, and again, this is
Barpo
kind of where it's still
T1 dah.
acceptable to be
17
kind of driving through.
17
Yeah.
first aids.
Oh well, you remember Beamy?
How
You
could I
remember.
forget? How could anyone forget? VP, this is
It's Ibiza's turn.
this this is becoming a recurring trend for our polar friends as they will slowly make their way.
Enak banget sih TKL. TKL
Sent ahead to do a little bit of
1,
pre-scouting. New circle does
2
pop, and it's gonna
bisa
hard shift
ditabrak.
down to the
Wah
south.
gila sih.
And that is
Kayaknya
great news
tiga
for
tim bisa
Rock as
nabrak
they
ke
find
TKL
themselves
langsung ini mah.
dead center. But this forest camp, all
TKL sama BST sih
around prison is
ditabrak
a
sih.
little bit complicated as there's a number of
Tuh
teams that are gonna
Daytrade kayaknya ke
all be
TE.
looking to
Daytrade
see
nabrak TE.
rotations into this next zone.
17 nggak bisa nabrak TKL. DNF juga bisa. Tapi kayaknya DNF sama Twist sama DN kayaknya tuh yang agak ke kiri bawah.
Get a little bit dicey in there. So it's Twisted Minds. Again, this is all about just finding your timing, finding your moment. You know, if you can get that first knock onto a divine player and then kind of leapfrog your way through.
Kita lihat di sini. Ini sih udah lihat ya. Dapat sih minimal mah. Nice.
Oh heaven.
Satu kill.
The north all to themselves. They had no idea and they get stabbed in the back.
Sebenarnya nabraknya malah
Teams have been before.
nabrak sini ya.
Pro Polar Bear coming in from the blue. Right now the Expendables, it looks like Clory's on his own, not going to be able to dispatch of 17 as he will go down. Tanvu trying to come and provide some support. The Expendables not one to let one of their players go down without a fight, but it looks like they will be forced away as there's Bestia also coming from uphill. They've got Vinny looking down in here, so it's a little bit complicated here for the Expendables.
Well, this felt like Clory's maybe
ngikut ya.
thinking that his off angle was covered, that east side angle was covered by one of his teammates.
Party BST kita lihat di sini.
Pretty steep leading up to that rock, so maybe that's miscommunication or a bit of a mispositioning. Or just Clory's not anticipating that somebody would wrap
TKL sih hoki sih beruntung banget anjir nggak ada yang nabrak dia cuk. Nggak ada yang langsung ke depan. Lurus. Pada semuanya ngambil kiri semua anjir. Daytrade nahan, Daytrade main nahan di pinggir dia.
7700 in the process, but it looks like Bestia managed to get their kill and retreat on back. Vinny going to rejoin the rest of the squad.
David muter. Oh tapi di belakang ada Belmont ya.
Running around, they were trying to do a rotation. Looks like they just ran into Daytrade as they were going from northwest to northeast. Daytrade just in a beautiful wide flanking position, and they just had them dead to rights. So Freaks dispatched unceremoniously here in phase.
Nggak zona lagi. PS4 mau PS5 sih sakit sih kalau nggak maju. Masih 0 kill lagi.
Creeping up towards Dayon's position. And he is on the flank edge for Divine. A lot of players who haven't really had much experience at the international level on this Divine team. Nixie actually goes down to the blue, so Dayon there should be getting a freebie.
Gratis anjir.
Nice prize for him, but this is phase 5.
Dayon lumayan dapat.
Very, very quickly. Plus you got the pressure.
Wah, Rock enak banget sih.
Barpo got knocked.
Pero juga enak tinggal maju doang itu.
Remember, for Virtus Pro fans, Ibiza still alive on that north side. He's outside of view of the map right now, but they're not out of it just yet. 17 Gaming, meanwhile, still scrapping with the Expendables. Daytrade is now coming.
Molotov sih mati sih.
As the circle again
mati kah Sobi?
Down to the hard south. A lot of hard shifts here, really making life difficult for these teams that decided to play on the northern part. As we see Twisted Minds, looks like will get their man back on his feet. Barpo back up, but Dayon going to go down now as Lou has spotted him out. And now it's the question of Daytrade. Are you going to fully commit to this fight with 17, knowing that you've got him pinned as we cut over the Twisted Minds scrap?
I kind of wonder if Daytrade got eyes onto TKL over to their west, and I think that's why they're not really able to commit to this fight the way they'd like. Divine, though, still hanging on to life. Hella trying to do what he can, but right now Twisted Minds is actually wrapping in a completely different direction, trying to get underneath them, and it's actually going to be TK It's the GK esports team that shows up and backstabs. So Barpo from bad to worse, able to get res, but not able to
sakit
do much
banget
else.
tuh.
Lou takes a bunch of
On
damage from
HP tuh.
PWD there. Has to prone down to try to get some heals off. Wonderful, just sprinting out in the
Gila.
open.
Apaan itu anjir?
PWD. Woo.
GK,
Gila,
look,
masuk
we had
semua,
high
Cok.
expectations from GK after their performance in EMEA, but a lot of those kind of got hamstrung a little bit after the
panik tuh, panik tuh.
situation for Diffex, where he was not able to join the squad. But Harusen stepping in from his coach role to fill in for the squad.
Cuh,
Right now, they
TKL
are
udah
looking really
nahan.
good, playing gatekeepers on the west as Daytrade trying to
Rata
decide
juga
they gotta pick
Bestia.
a fight here.
Bisa
They've
masih
gotta
bertahan,
decide,
Cok.
do they want 17 or do they want to take the scrap with
Kanada sih
They're
oke
taking their time
juga ya.
about it, though.
Deaththreat
That's
oke
a tough
juga ya.
choice, for sure. Both teams very good, and
Look at that.
there
Just
you go.
dispatched.
Unbelievable. Gotta love it.
You don't see that happen to a team as good as Freaks very
No,
often.
no, and losing that anchor player, had to be in the back of my mind thinking, oh boy, this might just be one of those games for the Freaks where they just kind of crumble. It seems like they're kind of already a little bit rattled by this chaos of this lobby. Again, you come to these internationals, it does not play
Aduh,
like your regionals.
itu kalau
There's a
Ibiza
lot more
dari
going
belakang
on
enak
behind
banget
the
sih.
scenes that you're just not quite ready for, and with that early fight, Quizzy gonna be able to take out Twisted Minds. So GK doing their other team dirty. I mean, to be fair to Twisted, there's a lot of teams in their way. That was a tough fight.
It's definitely a scrap for sure. But look at this. Abisa, still alive for Virtus Pro, is getting his team in the points.
Itu sih
As
lempar
Daytrade,
sih.
now that they have dispatched with 17, they're going to try to dig out Bestia from
BZ
their
granatnya
ARKA,
lempar
but
sih.
Bestia
Wah, Ibiza
not,
sih gila sih.
not giving up very easily. They've got the smokes laid down. They've
hancur.
got a P90 in the hands of Mime, and that boy knows how to use it.
Di-push
Two
dong,
knocks
nggak mungkin nggak di-push.
immediately from that rooftop position, and here comes Ibby from the back, but that is the last first aid kit he's got. He's got to get inside the zone. He's got to get in the smokes. Vinny will find one, but Ibby will get the point. The backstab from the smoke
Dapat nggak dia?
will get another point for Virtus Pro, but Bestia,
Nggak
they
dapat,
will
anjir.
take, I think, Daytrade now down to just Flash, and now the Expendables, they hear all the fighting. They're moving their way up here as well.
Man, GK just continuing to find great
Ente
fights,
banget,
find great
Cok.
third parties, great holds on this edge. And they are
Look,
trying to
look,
hammer
look,
down
look.
on top of Bestia. Flash is going to get Sills in. That's flush,
There
but
it is.
DraftKing able to trade it out, get the finish onto Daytrade. They're down in 6, but DraftKing the only player remaining for this Bestia squad.
Look at you, Bestia.
Datang TE,
Eight
datang
kills to
GK.
start off the day.
Buset.
Nice performance
Nggak kelar-kelar
so
ini
far.
Bestia nih.
As DraftKing will use that hard cover, and we've seen him pull off some craziness before, but it's not going to be this time. Tanvu
GK dari
land that
belakang, lihat
headshot,
belakang.
will get rid of DraftKing, and now the Expendables start to work their way through, but GK has made their way over here. Meanwhile, Petrichor Road, we were expecting them to do
Pero
well.
deh,
We were
enak aja,
expecting
santai
to see
aja ini.
them in the late game. Maybe not like this, though.
They're
A
just
little bit
vibing.
on the quiet side for these guys.
They just wrapped to the southern side, and nobody has been messing with them because all the fighting's been up towards the north. So now they're finally getting back into it. Aches left taking some damage from Tanvu and the Expendables. He tried to get some early damage in. Chewy there to provide a little bit of a crossfire with his captain. And Ming Ming, we know what this guy can do, and there it is. Hits the headshots with the mini to take Tanvu out of the car seat, looking for more damage. The Expendables,
enak
I don't
banget
know
ini
how
mah,
easy
Vero.
it's going to be to get to Tanvu there. Are they going to try? I don't think so. No way.
Oh my goodness. Ming Ming's mini is the stuff of legends and horror stories for every team that has ever played against it, as PWD has been spotted out by ROC Esports. RBN, they get them low, but they don't finish them off. They got them pretty much dead to rights. The smoke going to slow things down here a little bit, but Tanvu will get flushed out by Ming Ming. As Petrichor Road, they're still 4 up. They're starting to get a little bit active, but GK, okay, PWD will get taken down by Souls. It's all down to Quizzy.
Yeah, this is now kind of just the war of attrition for GK, and they are starting to lose the battle.
Pero harusnya
Two
sih.
of these teams haven't been fighting a ton in this lobby. You can see
What does he get? What are we giving him?
Apaan ini?
Level 3, level 3.
just level 3
Oh.
stuff.
Okay, that's
So,
DBS kok isinya.
like what was in there. Maybe the DBS.
Yeah. Hey, in
Fix
many
pasti DBS,
certain-
anjir.
it's a lot of situations that would be very, very useful. Unfortunately, I think long-range hilltop battles, maybe not one of them, as we see the Expendables still just hiding out as long as possible. And wouldn't you know, at Petrichor Road, they get a little bit more circle of, as this thing has just hard shifted south every single time. And Fortunately for Pero, they have been the one team the farthest most south, so they have been the beneficiaries of it.
Sakit
Don't like seeing the rich
juga ya.
get richer, but this is
Gila.
a good way to start for them.
Oh, this is everything you could want for Petrichor Road.
Ini juga ada granat lagi. Oh, ada
got the
molly.
spot on the BL. Gonna let loose with the molly. Yeah, indeed. Oh, beautiful.
And saya udah.
Oh, BL's got to get off his feet,
Dia
but
mau ngapain dah?
he's going to burn to
Iya.
death, and that's it. Quizzy picks up another point, possibly even two. As ROC, there it is, he gets
Loh, Cus yang
eliminated.
dapat
So
loh.
Quizzy Geeke doing the most with what he's got left. And he now has a little bit of space to
Lumayan.
maneuver around. I don't think Petrichor Road has an idea of where exactly he is.
GK masih
Those shots were
udah.
really sent
Buset
there,
udah
so
nggak ada udah.
Molotov just silently
Udah ditutup
kinda
dah.
letting him survive
Lu
a
mati
little bit
zone aja
longer
sih
and
daripada
keep on
ngasih
exactly where
ngasih
the
poin.
expendables are.
Yep, I mean, the expendables
Mending
are
mati
stuck.
zona.
The real question now for Petrichor Road is how many points can you get out of this?
I mean, they
There's three
kind of
more.
have to push, right?
Exactly.
Like, this is just screaming denial.
Harus dimajuin
Especially
bener.
with
Either of these teams, really.
Yeah, the level 3 gear that Chewy has, like you want to get in there and get involved because you know TE's going to
Udah
try to
jelas,
die to the
udah
blue if they
pasti
can.
mati zona,
There's a
lebih
tree
memilih
there
mati
and a hill,
zona.
so yeah, I don't think there's much that Petrichor Road can do about that. The real question is can you suss out Quizzy? Yes, you can, and it is going to be the Petrichor Road win.
You know, it
Lumayan.
might not have been as exciting as we were expecting or anticipating for Petrichor Road, but it doesn't matter. That's a W in the W column with a nice little stack of kills to go along with it, and their first game on Erangel in the books. So that is a good way to start for the Ixlef squad.
Yep, that's exactly what you want. Maybe a few more kill points, I guess, but still, you get the win. You can't complain too much about that. And really, all the action was just in the mid game here.
I mean,
everybody just fighting outside of the prison area.
Well, there's just not, I mean, when you see the hard shifts going south every single time, like you expect eventually maybe it'll cut back and play around prison, but it just never happened. And as a result, we saw so many teams just getting forced into unfavorable fighting situations and having to play around that terrain. Not always fun, but that's going to do it for game one. Let's see what the analyst desk has to say about that one.
Their name means the smell of rain on a dirt road, but what we saw was the smell of victory as Petrichor Road comes out with a very slow, methodical, but important game number one.
Yeah, this is the one you want to win where it's just like, guys, this is coming to us and we're taking it home for free. Obviously not too many kills coming in, but still, you want to win the ones you're supposed to win.
Yep.
You want to fight for the ones that you don't necessarily are.
It was very clean. They made an early move to mini power. From there, they could shift up north. It was I will say, some crazy shifts towards the south off of Lumber Mill. As you're going to see through these highlights, that did definitely benefit them by forcing a lot of teams up to the north side of that circle. And this was not as slow as it started yesterday. It seems like a lot of these teams, especially in this area, came to frag.
Yeah, but also when you have these teams that are being compressed down towards
Yes.
the south, right? You're going to have so many teams on the northern side forced to fight each other earlier than they would necessarily would, right? And when they're coming out of Lumber, like you can kind of get up towards the top of the mountain, you would kind of say, and there's just going to be so many teams defending and so many teams of third party coming. This is obviously a little bit earlier in it, but there were so many fights that felt unnecessary for the timing in terms of how much deeper we could have seen some of the teams go.
I think there was a lot. You see this with Forest kind of throwing themselves at this compound. We also saw, honestly, a lot of work coming out of Bestia up on that high ground. They were really just stabbing a lot of teams. And in about a second, we're going to get to that. We're going to start to see the kill feed just popping some Bestia after Bestia. They didn't make it into that top 5, but I think they really slowed down and limped up so many teams on the north side that it made it really... I thought Rock for a second was in a great position, but, you know, I think it was the Molotov by Quizzy that just eradicated it.
That also felt kind of like their focus, right? They realized, okay, there's so many teams out here, we're going to have to maximize points as we can, right? And also, once you have to get off this high ground, you're going to have these teams just getting off. Obviously, fantastic Molotov here from Quizzy. and he's able to maximize points. He did not get second place, so Chewy managed to sneak out of it just in the last second before Expendables. They bowed down in second place.
But that was interesting for me for Petrichor. So Petrichor played a slow, methodical game. They got to that end, and you saw Chewy was willing to just risk it for the biscuit.
Yep.
He ran straight up there and said, I got to make sure I lock these kills up, which I think does speak to the fact that teams know placement isn't everything. You've got to still walk away with that decent kill average. And because they were able to sort of wrap out that game, they knew Expendables very likely was going to go ahead and deny themselves to blue and keep as many points off Petrichor as possible. That push by Chewy was very, very smart. Very interesting game. We saw Hot Draw. Go ahead.
Could it have been earlier, though? Do you think they could have gone in and said, okay, we could maybe have taken on RC or anyone else, but it was a smart time. Only 3 kills, but it's 13 points still.
It was. I think when we look at these numbers, too, and the reason that they may have been a little slow with it is look at, so Bestia's got 8, Expendables has 7, Geeky has 7.
13.
At one point, Expendables, Geeky, VP, Daytrade, and Bestia were all jammed into probably a 7 to 12 meter area fighting for Northern dominance. And I think Petrichor wisely just said, you know what, you guys do you. We're going to clean this up once it's all over.
And that's why we're going to see 13, 13, 12 points. Like, there's so many teams, but not really one big jump, right? We don't have the 20-point bangers that we had yesterday, but still, as I said before, you're going to have to win the games you're supposed to win. Here, they were supposed to take this home slow and steady, and they did so with 1 kill each for the boys, except for Nan.
1 kill each is going to be fine. I will say, for me, one of the best things to watch, as you heard Poro coin it, the Ming Mini was awesome to watch. He just seemed to hit those shots without a second thought every single time. Petrichor spread out. They controlled their ground. And this is going to be a big confidence pickup for them. If they are already coming in, as we're suspecting, without a lot to lose, with kind of a open mentality, and they come out and they win game 1 to start their pace up that leaderboard, I mean, that means they're going to be really tough to deal with the rest of the day.
Yeah, you don't want to have these guys snowballing too early, right? And we're not even playing Vikendi, but if they start with this amount of points from the start and they start getting the confidence in early, yeah, that's going to be a scary time. Even though it's just 1 kill and 285 damage for Reichstef, since he's on the winning team, he's going to be getting the man on the match. There was a lot of impactful plays, I felt like, especially the Mime with the P90 and the Mini on the roof. He had a lot of damage and a lot of kills coming in their way, and that means we're going to see Bestie on here at 11. So, Daytrade 2, look how many teams here within 2 points, 5 teams on double digits. That's going to be a huge bonus for these coming in.
And I think the good news for a lot of people is the fact that it is that spread out does maybe nerf Petrichor's win just a little bit and trying to get in that chicken dinner. We're going to take a second at that overall leaderboard. Now, when we do get to it, you might see a little bit of a back and forth in terms of, remember, there are teams that are not playing today, right? So it is going to throw things off just a little bit. Team Falcons is, I think, the highest rated team that is not in the field today, but already the climb is beginning.
Yeah, 17 Gaming obviously being able to get a little bit here. We talked about them. They need to be getting consistent amount of points here. Otherwise, they could be, you know, once we see them not playing tomorrow, there could be teams kind of chasing and jumping on them. But yeah, 32 is a decent amount of points. And if they stay consistent, that's going to be huge. Some teams obviously are not that many points, but look at that. EK, Petrichor Road 13, 12 already. It's pretty huge for them.
Pretty good for them. Now, something that I noticed in the last round was T1. They're a team that was kind of did okay yesterday. They were in a good spot in leaderboard. They did hot drop a team yesterday. It came out okay for them, but they got hot dropped in game number 1 by our second place team, Taikula, and got wiped off of the map. It was an unexpected hot drop up there.
Yeah, I mean, I love you looting as Naya, but I don't know if that's really the play. But also, Georgia Pole is too far away for Taikula. If that's going to be consistent in terms of that, yeah, maybe it's just going to be the good old swap a roof. You're both able to get to George and to Yasnaya. You don't want to fight for it if you can take either of them free.
And I mean, at this level, I don't see a world where you don't notice the hot drop coming. Right? Like, T1 had to see them chasing them down there. But I guess
they couldn't believe their own eyes.
They couldn't believe their own eyes. They thought, you know what? Someone wants to share Yaz with us. That's going to be fine.
We'll go north, you go south. You'll go east, we go west.
This is the international. Everyone's nice on day 1. Not. So T1 does go down early and puts them in a tough position as they now have to sort of play chase, I think, for the rest of the day here today. This is a roster that I think has been really building momentum in their region. And I expected to see them do well here at this event. And I think maybe if they keep running into this over and over, it's going to be hard for them to bounce back from.
And again, we don't have any domination. Once you've played your 12 games in the group stage, you're out and you're not in top 16. But a lot of teams, when you're talking to the players, when you're seeing them, the confidence is pretty high. Like, they're like, yeah, top 16 is pretty easy. We're not going to be able to do this. The fact is, a third of these teams, 8 of the teams, are not going to the finals, and you're not going to be able to compete for the lion's share of the prize pool.
Take a look at Twisted Minds. They were doing a great job yesterday, finished up in first. They played a very passive game. They kind of worked on that, tried to stay on the edge as long as possible, and came in a little bit late, I felt like.
But that's how Lumber works, right? If you get onto the edge and you get pushed further south, further east somewhere, and there's a team holding you that has the higher ground, the rock faces, that has some of these spots, you're just going to get held, you're going to get delayed for too long to be able to take the fight and then get into the circle without being torn apart from the team on the other side of the cleft. And then it's just going to be too late.
Now, a team that was up there tearing people apart, we mentioned Bestia a couple times. You know, I actually saw them today. They got together for a group yoga session to prepare for today. So I thought that was kind of a cool idea. Let's see if that carries over into Game 2. The Zen is on the way for our last match on our angle.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. We are here for match number 2 of Group Stage B and C on Erangel. We've got one in the bag for Petrichor Road. Let's see what round 2 will bring us. Now, we do have a far western plane, Clinton, so I don't know if we'll see that same Yasnaya shenanigans this time around, but maybe we might see something new.
I'm very curious about what TKL's plan for today is. You know, if maybe they feel like they can just, you know, harass the T1. I mean, it could be about drop spots on other maps as well, by the way, because there is Chumacera to consider.
There is indeed.
That was a point of contention, so you will see teams kind of, if they're already qualified for something, bring the beef over to other maps because they want to knock that other team out if they can. So absolutely fair play to TKL, but they've got South George this time around, so it is going to be Yaz open and available probably for T1. I mean, there is a Ibiza kind of close to them, but my guess is he's just trying to see what vehicle he can get and then dip while they also do the same. Furia up in the best drop spot ever, Zarky. My boys, although Bestia's up here too, so there's a little bit of kind of, I think, confusion about some alt drops potentially here.
Yeah, a little bit of a South American flair up there in northwestern Zarky as Furia and Bestia getting a little bit close. We have the far southwestern circle centering up around Quarry, where Day Trade is doing their normal drop split.
Barpo, please.
And let's see, what do we got? Well, ROC and Divine are on that military island, getting a little bit close to each other, but it doesn't look like either one really wants to mess around. So, okay, for once, I think this might be the first time this entire tournament that we have not seen a hot drop.
We did it.
We made it, guys.
We did it.
Good job. Congrats to everybody.
Just golf claps all around.
All around.
All around.
Fantastic stuff.
I think the cool part about this though is that I don't think it'll take too long for things to start dusting up. Like, look at where the circle is. There's, you know, there's gonna be a lot of this edge, that's going to be under control of teams like the Expendables.
Atas sih udah pasti rame anjir masuk.
Territory around Gatka for free. 17, we know that they can get aggressive. The Freaks, they're just about controlling space. So, but we saw this last year at the Internationals that they were willing to fight early in a lot of the groups.
Shit, langsung dapat kayak apa ya buat?
Maybe they're considering that kind of play again.
Gede juga ya.
And if you want to play like
Padahal DPI-nya
one of the best on the planet,
800.
there you go. Just match that and then also, you know, devote your entire life to this game.
40, 50, 45, 50. Rata-rata segitu aja.
Everything after that, you know, comes in time. But we see Nixie and the Virtus Pro boys all up there by themselves in Sparty now. Oh, we got a little bit of interview here with Nixie.
The Falcons, like old Falcons roster, disbanded now, and they didn't even qualify for this event. So I think America's got weaker. Europe, I would say, is top 2 strongest regions with China, with Peronius roster, with Ix left and Ming Ming. I think they're like very competent this year. With Europe, of course, and I think Korea is just getting run by DNF. Like, they're really strong. And APEC is, I didn't really watch much APEC this year, but I think they're really strong because, of course, they have PGC winners, TE. So it's going to be very exciting seeing how regions play this year.
There you go. Thoughts from
AGG nggak lolos ya. Himas, aduh, kacau. Beda satu doang kemarin tuh Himas, kasihan banget dah. Beda 1 poin apa sama poinnya tapi beda skill ininya.
Like this.
No, not you. He did.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you said I did.
No.
Oh, I thought I was getting gaslit on air. Like, oh my god.
You would never.
Oh, okay.
Kamu lagi.
You know better.
That's good. No. I mean, I tend to think, and well, hold on, there might be a light.
Buset, apaan tuh? Mau jumpsuit gitu, wonderful sih, gila sih.
Wonderful. Very, very low, but unfortunately for Quizzy, all by himself. The rest of the gang, a little bit more split. Now, PWD looks like he's sniffing around on the northern part of that mini-map, but I doubt really want to get Nixie. That's Spaceman. That's from the region that's getting run by one team. He just ran you into the ground. There you go.
I think everybody at the end of this group stage is going to be talking about Taikula.
Yeah,
because
I mean,
they are fearsome.
They should, absolutely.
So good.
Well, and then the fact that, you know, it's once you get a team that gets that snowball rolling, right, and you get a little bit more confidence, and you can do stuff like, I don't know, hot drop T1 in Yasnaya on the first game and drop right on top of their building and feel like you're going to come out on top. And
Satu udah dapat.
End up coming out on top as PWD will actually catch out Barpo. So good work on the part of GK. Make sure that what is happening here? Oh, the motorcycle. Barpo just working around his motorcycle, using it as cover as long as possible. But in the end, doesn't matter. He goes down. But good on PWD to go ahead and make sure he secured that point for the team, at least making a 1-for-1 after the loss of his teammate.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're starting to see some of that inexperience that Divine has. Yes, again, Barpo has been to the global events. He played for Gen G, okay. But the rest of the team very new to these situations for the most part. So, you know, they're trying to have these anchor players like we saw with Daeon in the previous game here with Barpo, not really able to find that success to keep themselves alive. Yes, that is kind of payback as well for GK, as they had lost a player earlier, but this is problematic for Divine if they're going to get out of this group stage. They need to tighten up a little bit. Let's see if the Freaks can also tighten things up. They only got 2 points in that very first game, and certainly this is a team that, you know, third at PGC last year, destroying in the PWS. Should be a team that is in contention for a championship at some point. Just have to see if they can kind of figure things out. Not much time in these group stages. You get 12 maps. That's it.
Got a brief look at what Deal is capable of for the Freaks in that game 1, but unfortunately rest of them ended up going out a little bit.
Ya ampun, Pero gila deh threat ya. Ngeri juga loh.
Spotting out Divine on the beach. The long range shots from that MK. A little bit of damage, but unfortunately not able to get the knock. But now they know that they have company. Now, do they know about the trailing member for Divine, Daeon, who is on foot just
Kabur.
off to their east?
Piwit.
Very, very quiet about it.
Yeah, both teams trying to make some flank maneuvers. PWD not getting much info there on if DN had pushed out a little bit further. Indeed, we can see that they're just mostly locking it down underneath that hillside outside of the warehouses. It's just a matter of if he can find the timing, find the angle, and what Daeon's role is going to be. As you said, he's kind of out there outside of even the mini-map that we can see in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. So Spiral's like kind of looking over there. I mean, that could just be general sort of awareness, map awareness. I don't know if they have specific knowledge.
I do think that when they saw the US pull in, I think they saw maybe 2 players jump out. So as long as if they had their eyes on and they were paying attention, they would know that that there's only 2 players here and that there's most likely
maju mati si Wonderful.
From the other side. So you can very careful. Otherwise, you would imagine they would try to kind of pull the clamps down on them and make sure that they secure that ferry pier spot for themselves, but instead being disciplined here as we see Arena just playing around in the dips just off to the north of this whole GK Divine situation. Everybody playing rather nice for Erangel here early on. Still 60 alive, 8.5 minutes in. Now we still have a couple of teams making their way in from the northeast as Virtus Pro and T1, and it looks like T1 actually just pulled by Virtus Pro, and their trailing man for Virtus Pro letting them know, and Virtus Pro might be setting up something here for T1. We'll have to keep an eye on this.
I think they're trying to cut him off. Yeah. That's what it looks like. They're heading up towards Potato, and so are T1. There might be a fight that breaks out there. I mean, that's
dapat kah Batulits?
If Virtus Pro does commit to that, they're actually going to be in a
Kalau nggak dapat sih aneh.
situation with the AK as RBN down. The rest of his team already in transition, and there is just no one to pick him up. So move along.
Nggak mungkin nggak dapat sih. Ini apakah dapat juga pembegalan? Lu? Let's go lu.
Got sold. Santastico driving by the sight line, seemingly not quite there for
Lu.
Blue. Goes for the tire, can't quite get it.
Aish.
Yeah, he
Gak
was definitely
kena,
going for the
nggak
tire there.
pecah bannya ya itu ya.
Maybe catch them in the spin out, but unfortunately the terrain just not working with him on that one. But great AK spray from Batu there. I don't think that's a gun that he wants to stick with, as he only had about 60 rounds. I think
Tidak ada di mana-mana. Rock, mau kemana lu Rock?
this is what I got to work with. Is
Iya ampun, iya ampun.
Get it.
It's good.
And we're good. Okay, everything's fine.
Iya lo.
Nope. Yep.
Muter
One
balik.
mistake and all of a sudden you're getting shot at from 5 different directions. That is international PUBG.
Bingung dia mau kemana.
And now T1 has
Dapat
joined
nggak
the
sih?
fray
Ya
as well.
ampun nggak
Everybody
dapat.
coming into the fields as the late rotators start to arrive.
Gila.
Well, T1 just going to continue on. The next circle popped and it went hard west. So
Lihat si Twist ini kalau masuk zona yang dibegal-begal lanjut.
the Expendables having to share some of that real estate though with Rock. The real question
VP
is
masih nahan ya.
how deep can you go as T1
Gila,
safely?
VP,
A
Cok.
lot of other teams in transition right
GK.
now trying to move their way forward. Divine is doing a little bit more punishment to GK. Delwyn shooting at one team, immediately looking right back over to Rock, but Rock keeping themselves pretty well obscured. Decent little poke of damage.
Nggak ada
from
basic
Polaris,
granat dia.
but when are they going to let loose of those frags? I see a few in the bag for
T1?
the Expendables.
Dapat sih kalau kata gue dapat sih satu.
Kind of hard to dodge some of those frags if you're good with the timings.
That is true. They have
Ya ampun tabrak.
Whoa, buddy, whoa. That's okay. All right, we're good.
Santai. Aduh, kayak gue kalau nyetir mobil anjir. Nubruk-nubruk.
Still inside the circle for this next zone, so they have time to kind of wait this out. As you already saw T1 making their way through. There's
Polaris gila.
some more coming in, and there you go.
Kampus aja nggak sih itu?
Double onto BL and Solds. So that might turn into something here as well as T1.
Ya T1 mau kemana bingung sih.
To try to find their way across the field somehow.
And
some
1
way,
HP.
they
1
are
HP.
keeping everybody alive, although Ian
Tapi
is
ketemu
just
Pero di
barely
depan.
hanging on.
Ya ampun, udah pusing-pusing dah. Sumpah.
Barreling down on you. Ian has no chance to get the heal off in
Dia
time.
mau-
Ming's got the
Udah.
angle. The
Keluar
tires
zona
trying
lah.
to be used to cover up this res, but T1 gonna have to
Entero.
get those smokes out and get them down quick because the angle's still somewhat there for the side of Petrichor
Oh my
Road.
goodness.
Oh, it's Tigger. Day trade has an angle.
Jigger dari mana cuy?
Trade has an angle
Oh, di belakang
from
atau di
over on the
kanan,
north side
kiri
of the
atas?
quarry. So the T1 they're laying down the smokes as quickly as possible, but I don't know
Udah
if it's
NF
going to
di-
be fast enough. As now,
di
Freaks are on the move as
bawahnya,
well. They
bawah
hear all of
kanan.
this. They might be able to get into grenade range if they can get there quickly and
Wah,
quietly.
cakep ya.
But as you saw, a number of teams all looking over here. There he is, Deal.
Itu N nggak kelihatan. Ye, ngalangin aja itu.
The grenade will roll a little bit, but it's not going to be close enough.
Selip.
Raining now, the
Ya,
last one alive, I believe.
kebiasaan ya.
But raining might not be too long for this world as Ikesleft has now spread out and started to go and attack as well. Type back
Kebiasaan
on his
dilepas
feet,
ya,
and
belum
hit
juga
from every
kenok.
angle.
This is just madness for T1. The fact that they've still got 3 players alive is impressive in and of itself, but you're taking so much damage here to the helmets, to the armors. Grenades are just ringing in your ears.
Ini sama lah yang kena balik.
Road just a little bit too far out as Aches left. Scappy's got an angle from Forest and he has to retreat. So T1 may have held on just long enough.
And they got a kill off of it. Heather managed to get a flush onto one of the Freaks players. So Freaks down to just 2 as they were very aggressive, trying to go out there and get within throwables range of T1. They do so, but they end up paying the price, and T1 somehow, some way, staying alive long enough, although
GT banget anjir T1 sih udah.
those toesies have
Bingung sih T1 sih.
destroyed at this point, but it looks like he should be able to get back on his feet.
I thought that was a replay for a second.
Gila bener-bener Pero dah.
We're in the back. Why not?
Yeah, just go for it, my man. All right, well, Arena having to try to
VP
get
sih.
out of that spot in the skinny tree forest, and they're getting
Maksudnya begitu?
torn apart.
Di arena?
Expendables have some great angles down on top of them, and they've already got a few points collected. Duckjuice looking for another one, is going to collect. And
Jadi Polaris yang GG ya.
goes knocked in the distance. The Expendables not keen to give 17 any time to recover. They're putting some fire down.
Azan
on
guys,
top of them.
azan
They're
guys.
being
Gua
active,
lepasin
getting
dulu
in
guys.
these vehicles, changing positions, changing angles, looking for good opportunities. But maybe now, with the circle shifting away up to the north, they might have to change directions. Meanwhile, think this is pretty smart from Twisted. I mean, you saw that fighting going on in the kill feed. You know a pretty good idea of where these teams are going to be. And if you can read that it's the Freaks that are in this compound with just 2,
Dari threat dari belakang sih.
that'd be nice.
Tapi masih zona nggak mungkin maju sih.
Expendables, as you said, 5 kills already. They did
VP
manage to
ini
take
mah.
care of
Virtus
Rock.
Pro sih kalau masuk zona
A little bit earlier, as we see
bisa sih itu.
good, very bad day on the rotation. As,
Tuh gitu
he
bomnya
delivers
lu.
the double grenade from Flores. Beautiful stuff from him, and then the eventual collapse. They come through in a big way, and this is shaping up to be one of those Expendables type games where they get a few kills to start things going, and then they just get rolling. You never know what can happen once they start rolling here. As we still wait for Twisted Minds just playing around. I think they know that whatever team is in here might be a little bit damaged, but no real need to push it just yet.
Yeah, they have to be pretty careful. It is kind of some open territory around them in a couple different directions. You have to be pretty methodical with the timing on all of that. Maybe make sure your backside is clear.
Go ahead,
Wonderful. Nice little knock onto Lil Ghost. Okay, grenade there, almost getting the flush. Gonna let loose with another one. He's being
Shit.
driven at. Hella bails him
Maksa
out.
bener
Just
dah.
shuts down Xiao
Maksa
Bei.
demer.
Oh
Maksa demer gak tuh?
Divine
Maksa
holding
bener
on.
cowok.
5 kills in this game.
Drag
They're
by gitu,
taking 17
kacau.
to task.
He had to dodge that Dacia as well as it was coming downhill. It was hot.
Banget anjing coba.
The last one left up, just playing around the flaming vehicle, waiting for the inevitable. As DN Divine just closing down. He's got the shotgun rider with Xiao Wu above him, and I don't think they know about it. But good shots from 7700 will open the door here for Xiao Wu.
A bit of a misstep here for Divine. Weren't really aware of a potential flank angle. Hella trying to get in the smoke to some kind of safety. Some good damage
Mati
done
dong.
by Daeon.
Blue.
That
Jangan first hit lah.
should be maybe just enough with that blue. Yes, it is. You're right. Nicely done there. And now you only have one more target to worry about in 17.
Good stuff from Dayon. Make sure they go up there, secure that point. 7-7. Oh, whoa, though. He's got the sprays. He'll find Hella, and now it's a 1v1 in the blue between 7-7 and Dayon as the new circle has popped, and 7-7 will collect the 4th kill for 17.
Oh, nice outplay there at the end by 7-7. And a good flank from Xiao Wu that did enough damage. Although
Ya ampun, VP udah late rotate. Satu keculik. Bete banget anjir, ya elah. Ya elah, VP.
In the kill feed, you can see, unfortunately, Virtus Pro arriving a little bit late on that
Bener-bener late rotate loh dia padahal tuh.
into Furia. And so now Beamy, the last player left alive.
Itu enak gak enak kalau late rotate sih.
Well, Beamy, if there's one thing I know, that man eats blues.
Semuanya udah ada di mana-mana anjir.
See if he can pull off a little bit more magic. We saw Ibby get into the placements last game and collect a kill as well. So salvage games, not anything new for Virtus Pro. As 7700 just trying to stay alive as long as possible. Duck shoot.
Kelihatan kan?
Oh yeah, he wants that. He wants that.
Oh, for sure. He's gonna go for another first aid before he strikes. The rest of TE out in the blue though as well, as their vehicle tires starting to get popped. Okay, there you go.
Lumayan.
Point, but now you have to contest with Daytrade. Phenomenal crossfire to your west, where you were trying to come downhill initially. So you're gonna have to change directions. Now there is Clory's way to the north of the rest of the Expendables, so he might have opened up enough kind of space that they can make a move. The problem is that Twisted Minds is dug in on a hillside next to the road. And, oh my
Tanado.
God,
Ngeri lu. Tanado. Dapat satu lagi.
Man, that's rough. I mean, I don't want to call it greedy on the part.
Bener aja dapat satu lagi.
Why not?
Gila.
As Belmoth will finish his plate, and the Expendables just getting picked down to 2 here. Clory's and Duckshoes the last ones remaining. Delwyn, are they? There's no way they call him back.
Ya
right?
ampun.
No, Duckshoes, they got to go somewhere. They're still outside the zone, and they're
Bener
going to
dia.
run right
Mana
into
dia?
Daytrade. Now you got to give credit to Daytrade. Thanadol and Flash were the only 2 barrels pointing in their direction, but they managed to get the points that they
Iya,
needed.
iya lu,
That's
iya
not
lu.
what you want to have happen. Duckshoes
Mati
has
dong,
gone down
Loris.
as well. Whoa, my God, Heather.
Oh, mati Max
Quick
Imperial.
feet, baby.
That's a jump scare. Oh my. Barely
Feel
dodging
jalan
that
tiba-tiba
Dacia.
panik coy.
We've seen a lot of vehicles
Loris
being
masih.
used, in
Ih,
interesting
hampir
ways.
itu.
T1 yesterday ran over
Udah sih
17.
dilempar
They're gonna
molly.
jack. That was one of the
Kalau nggak
highlights
basic
today for me,
granat
for
mati
sure.
dah.
Oh, Daytrade is
made it.
just destroying. They are doing tons of damage. Well, they finally take a knock. Heaven and Gumin, last two surviving members for the Freaks, actually finding some knocks.
Finding them from range here. Twisted actually letting them get away with it as well. They've got the low ground while Freaks have the high. And T1, after surviving that vicious onslaught early
Wah,
on,
gila
they are
Pero
now
bener-bener ya.
having to do it again.
Pikorot enak
How
banget
much
sih.
utility do they really have left? Remember all the smokes that they had to use the first time.
Furia masih enak kok TKL sama
Tank. As Daytrade, it looks like they should get that
Flores.
on his feet. And you can see Tinker on the
TKL
south side just causing all types of problems. for
BST aman.
I love the way
Daytrade
Daytrade is
aman.
playing maximum harassment.
Shipman sih harus enggak sih di Shipman aman. Tapi kalau maju ke depan situ kelihatan sama DNF ya. Harus fight sih sama DNF sih Twisted Mind. Sama ngomongnya. Dekule, regroup, gas, Flores.
Keeping my eyes on the map, but this fight pretty important over on this western side for control over
Gas
that
depan tuh.
space. You know, Bestia could make a move up here as well. Maybe if there's some knocks in the kill feed or something, but
Ambil kanan
TKL
tadi.
can't find that angle. That hillside is really long, so it's kind of hard for them to just drive up it and try to take a fair fight against Forest. They're gonna have to break through with using some creative smokes and angles. Take a look at the replay. T1 players.
Sempil dari mana sih? Oh, dari kirinya ya. Oh, dari bawah yang itu. Ih, hitam. Anjir, mobil kayak mau drive by, cok. Ternyata mobilnya jalan sendiri ya. Oh, Dekule ini GG gitu ya. Dulunya apa ini ya? Spaceman sama Colt 119 anjir. Ini PGS sebelumnya gue lihat di PGS apa PGC ya? Apa dulu ya? Bukan TKL namanya loh. Mereka berdua ini. Flores nggak sih, mau nggak mau. S5 sih kalau nggak digas. Dibantu tuh, udah dibantu. Furia enak banget itu. Posisi nggak aman sih. DNF pun harus maju setelah ini. Kayaknya zonanya sih udah zona donat ya. Guzera maju, Guzera. Sakit sih kalau nggak maju mah asli. Ya, GK. Nahan lu. Gila.
It was a gutsy peek there from Olympus trying to hold that jiggle peek there against somebody of Spaceman's caliber. But Olympus, one of the newer players to these international lobbies, so you gotta learn sometimes the hard way. And
Maju dikit.
this might be one of those.
Iya lah, sangkut dong.
Olympus is gonna learn the hard way.
Olympus sih
Hold those hard peaks.
nahannya kuat juga ya. Kan, semua harus pada maju. Wah, Polaris sih. Anjir. Terparty Furia. Let's go.
Well, this is dangerous for all these teams. This could be very, very devastating.
Excellent, mau ikutin Bestia.
You've got the res up for TKL. They're throwing stuns. They want to make a move.
Bestia ada bikin
down. Forest losing some as well. The blue zone stalled things up momentarily here. Don though gonna
Wah,
finish the job.
TKL yang dapat sih.
No problem. On
TKL dapat 2. Masih ada, sabar weh. TKL kaget sih sumpah itu. Tiba-tiba ada itu.
Gizera holding the top of the line. He's got some support lower down the hill. Haven still has that offensive utility left in the bag. Will be enough to slow down Taikula just long enough. As Spaceman just trying to hold the line here, I believe, while Cold goes for the res on a Dons, but Spaceman, he's not afraid. He'll push by himself, gets the knock onto Haven.
The way he finds those headshots mid-shoulder lean is absolutely incredible. I mean, Furia tried to find a timing here. and they might be able to get their reses. They gotta
They
be
are so lucky.
dude, they gotta be thinking they're lucky stars. There's no more frags for TKL. They've already used
Exactly.
a
Kuat
ton.
banget ya TKL ya.
This would have been maybe the end of their round.
Oh my
Third
gosh, I
party
think they
masih
just had
loh.
to they pulled a blue zone grenade off of their knocked
Cih,
player to see if they could
tiba-tiba
get it in there in
gitu.
time, but fortunately
Fair.
for Furia,
Lah,
they get their man
gimana
back.
cok? Nggak tahu
Patrick
gua kelihatan.
Road, what? Heather dispatching him by himself.
Mati si Posa
We have
harusnya.
got to get that on replay, but right now we are
Uzi
going to go
raguan.
down to Ty Kula,
Gila Posa.
holding down Furia down to just 2 players. Posa and Zakraken holding the line versus Spaceman and Dawns.
Well, now they went for a flank,
Headshot nih. Ngapa nih?
and they can't get over there.
Headshot.
Bail out their
Salah.
teammate. That's an easy one for
Satu lagi.
Spaceman. Got to figure out where the last player is. The Kraken backing down the hill. Doesn't want any of this action. It has been way too hot. Now you're going to be able to get the res onto Cold as well for Taikula. This is such an impressive performance. They're putting on again here today.
This is
Terus.
clinical stuff for Taikola.
Perfect 1KS.
They haven't even had to waste
Mati zona mulu kayaknya selalu deh itu dah.
I mean, we saw Furia just
Kabur.
laying down the
Polaris
smoke,
dia
trying to get their
nunggu
players up
ininya
into
doang
Kraken.
udah.
Just gonna try to send it and survive a little bit longer, but there's just nowhere to go. As we see, he is running down the hill. Guman, yeah, that's about the easiest shot he's ever landed, but no.
Masih
It's gonna
dapat
be
loh.
Glories, the
Polaris loh.
monster in the shed, and he is in a good position here. And
Gila.
actually, it's not outside of the realm of possibility, Clinton.
He's one of those players where
TKL sih udah ini.
he can do something.
TKL udah posisi udah enak ini dia.
I need that.
Kalau
I need that in my
zonanya
life.
ke atas,
I'm a big T1 fan, so I
masih
definitely would
kena.
like to see. I'm a big
Twist masih
TKL
bisa
fan
tapi
right
harus
now. This
ngegas
team
T1 dulu tuh.
Dude, they are just so well
TKL udah
coordinated
jelas.
in these team fights.
WCD
This is
TKL
time
fix
after
kalau kata
time.
gue.
They're just dismantling you, and it's often with good gunfire that
Fix
they're doing
TKL
it.
kalau kata
They
gue
have such
WCD ini.
good kind of leapfrogging. Like one player will be in front of you, got the other player covering. When that player gets beat up, there's somebody on an off angle to make sure
Kecuali
that they're getting a push
Clorisnya
off of them to punish that damage that was done by their opponents. Really
clear.
nice stuff.
Dia
Heather
nabrak
just
Loris mau gak mau.
needs to not die, so
Di
there's
Twisted
gonna be a
Mind.
lot of quick peeks there just to see if he can find some
T1
damage.
udah no hope
You know,
lah.
we could get a twisted player down or two. Here we go.
There he is.
Ya ampun dia nggak aware cok.
Oh, that grenade was
And
right.
oh no, Petrichor got distracted by Twisted Minds, I think.
Loh?
And they just let Heather
Kalau nembak anjir.
dismantle them. That is beautiful stuff from T1's Fragger. And he's got some utility left in the bag as well. Unfortunately not landing.
Mati-mati sih gila sih.
But Twisted Minds, they are going to let him, I mean, they know he's outside his zone, right? They don't have to take any unnecessary risks here. They've got to be more concerned about TKL on that western side.
Oh, and it's Heather. It's kind of a tricky situation. You know, you do have that Dacia. It's not in the greatest of shape. I'm not sure what the tire situation is like.
Mati zona kah? Lebih memilih mati zona kah?
I feel like
T1.
maybe you could have got some of those grenades to connect. You can hold the line here.
Udah TKL WCD ini gila TKL kuat banget ya.
Out in the open, goes for the 3x play, almost gets the knock.
Mati zona nih sampel nih.
Oh, he did get the knock.
Oh, he did get the knock. He got him low, and then the grenade.
Dapat tuh
Slow
kemudian.
burn.
Iya.
He's gonna get him. He's gonna get Batu. No, Spaceman's gonna help him out with that one. Now Lou, all of a sudden, is the last player left alive for Twisted Minds. Heather eating a bunch of damage.
TKL
He's
udah
gonna
jelas.
go down to Dons, and now it's just Lou versus the 3 remaining players of TKL. But Cloris is still in the
Donsnya
shed.
jaga
Don't
Cloris.
forget about him.
Oh, I believe in Cloris for sure. One of the best
Oh,
players
this is
in the world.
dangerous.
This is, I mean, with this FAMAS too, some level 3 gear to boot for TKL. You know, you're gonna have to get him beat up a
no.
little
Gua
bit.
nggak tahu anjir.
Cloris! They weren't ready for him to be in the shack.
They
Oh nggak
absolutely were
tahu si
not, and now
Donsnya.
they've
Padahal
just-
tadi
they've
ada
taken
suara
care of
nembak
Lou.
ya.
And now Cloris, he's still got the shack to play around. That's
What
still
the-
inside the zone, and he knows exactly where Spaceman and Cold are. He sees them peeking the ridge lines. He's got, his biggest problem, he's got
Oh,
low
gitu sih.
ammo in that tank. Cold gets knocked so low, and he knows it.
Kalau WCD sih gila sih.
Throw it's right on point. Cloris will find
Apaan itu?
Cold,
Gila,
and
Cloris.
now it's a 1v1 for the win. The Expendables versus Taikula.
I think he popped
Nggak, kalau-
Spaceman's
kalau
helmet. That
Spaceman
last
kalah
exchange
sih
was
gila
what
sih.
Fortini did. So Spaceman, no helmet. You just need to tap the head, and you're gonna win this game, Cloris.
647 damage for the defending world champion Cloris as he holds the line. He holds his hard cover, and now he heard Spaceman go to the other side. Spaceman does have that high ground.
Tunggu zona doang Spaceman ini karena zona dia lebih gede. Masuknya lebih enak dia.
Spaceman has been showing out.
Loris mau nggak mau pasti harus maju.
448 damage and 5 kills for him so far in
Anjir,
this
itu
round as
apaan dah?
well. This is 2 just behemoths in the lobby meeting each other in the open field.
This is beautiful. This is a thing of beauty. I love the way Spaceman positioned himself because he's closer to the center of the circle. He's got high ground. He's got more cover. So that's going to force Cloris to use these smokes to try to find a way to get a little bit further into the circle, or either just find the position. Is he just going to go for the drive-by on him? Is he just going to drive at him?
He might. Spaceman has that flashbang in his hand. Now, Spaceman has no helmet. He can't afford to get into a peak
Bisa
battle
ngelempar.
with Cloris. He's
Jauhan.
going to turn this into a straight-up 1v1 and hope that maybe Cloris...
Gila kalau Cloris menang sih, gila sih.
And it looks like Cloris might be doing that. He does notice, though, he sees the rock. He knows what he's got to work around. Spaceman with that flashbang in hand. Cloris just going to go ahead and spam that and try to move around before Spaceman can find where he is. But Spaceman read him like a book as he returns the flashbang favor. And now the spray comes through, but Cloris comes in a big way.
Wah, gila.
He gives him a hand for what was a beautiful 1v1 to finish.
Gila Cloris sih.
Oh, what a finish for Cloris, and it was the headshot
Cier.
that did the job for him. Quite an interesting positional battle there with the stuns.
Gila sih. Wah, gila. Yang jago sih, pantas PGC juara dia kemarin sih. Jago sih ini. Boleh juga loh. Ya kayak boleh ya, pendatang baru ngeri nih, tapi gila loh. Satu orang. Kill berapa tadi? 8 apa 9 tuh? Cloris gokil, nggak masuk akal anjir.
As they come out on top of game number 2, and what a stylistic win it was.
Yeah, it was the game of the solo. So many clutches happening here. Difficult areas to play as well. Have to cross the road, have to play around, but like be able to get down to a 1v1 and win that's just next level. But again, so many situations where teams are getting pressured by the circle into areas, being compressed and forced to fight each other where they necessarily wouldn't do normally.
That hyper compression was really tough for a lot of teams in the middle. I think there was one point where we saw Rock sort of flying around with like a bird without a head. There was just no spots to get to for a lot of these teams, and so we saw that kind of mid-match fall off by a bunch, and then everyone got their solidified spots and we had to fight out. But a lot of recoveries. We saw Heather with the 1v3. We saw Cloris sort of this 1v3 there at the back end. Heather, though, honestly, such a good spot to hide out and fight back against that. Looking at day trade, looking at the highlights that led us to that point, this is where we kind of were talking about. Not a lot of options for everybody as they try to find a little bit of something to work with in the back half of the game.
But also, at this point, right, you have so many teams that are fighting each other. Also very impressive what TKL is able to do, right? Look at that header with the nade opening into the damage. This is such a good play from him. But this area he has, this little dip here worked out perfectly. The circle moved, he still had a little bit of a sliver in, and Pera had to make a move on it, but he denied that. Cloris also denied TKL completely from this. They were spread out too far. He opened up 1 versus 1 versus 1s were against them, and they were being too greedy here. Spaceman, boom, instant headshot, no helmet, you're just done for.
Well, for me, that was this beautiful combo that we saw. Both of those 3 pieces were on the back of firearm skill plus utility, right? When we saw Heather do it, he opened with a gun knock, which forced the 2 to come running, then used utility to slow them down, finished up with the gun. The same with Cloris. That was a blind grenade toss over the shed to get that knock on top of the tree, and was just a really, really clean play from our PGC MVP. So Mike, when we talked about the Expendables yesterday, me and James, it was are they contender or pretender? Do we think that they have what it takes to make 2025 their year again? I was skeptical. Cloris, though, looks like he never let go of that form, right?
He heard you say, I'm skeptical, and I was like, nope. But here, 20 points for them to be able to get up that. TKL, they continue to impress me. I gotta say, like, Spaceman had a blinder of a tournament in PCL, but he comes in here and it shows that he's also worth it on the global stage and able to pop up. He also had, I think, 5 kills in this game here too. He just continues to do well. He was also very expensive in the fantasy, but yeah, here it is, Glorious with 8 kills, 748 damage. He's able to clutch it up for the boys. Look at that.
Wow, I wonder who'll be the man of the match.
Yeah, maybe they will.
You know, as I read those stats, it's probably going to be
How does
Todd.
he also take the least damage taken? That's crazy.
Well, you know, when
sure, he had 3 armor, 3 helmet, everything.
Yeah.
You know, sure. But still,
well, he has 4 armor for helmet because he's got his 3 armor helmet and armor, but he also has 3 other guys that stand in front of him and run at the fights. And I think that's also, I mean, Clory's kind of was able to use them for some scouting, survived himself in the late game, and then played insanely well with 8 total kills walking away from that. Here it is, man of the match, no shock. Clory's comes away with that honor, and deservedly so. Coming up with that win was big time.
yeah, and he absolutely maxed out everything. The highest of everything. That's just crazy, right? So average is obviously super low compared to that, but still, he's able to fill out the Pentagon like that. And for me, again, Expendables last year, like PGC was crazy. They're able to come in here.
What's
and kind of do what
crazy?
they were able to do
Crazy.
last year, right, at our global stages, and able to do it against C, which is their strongest of us, right?
So they say.
And yeah, and look at this.
Crazy.
Very top heavy for Taikule and for
Login dulu kali kita dikit.
Taikule and Twisted Minds both going to finish up in that 2nd and 3rd place. This was our 1st and 2nd place team coming into today. So our top 2 teams will continue to grind their way up that leaderboard, 73 and 68 respectively. The Expendables now comfortably in 3rd position. And the thing that worries me for the rest of the lobby about the Expendables is they are a momentum team. If I'm not even talking about just PGS 7. You saw what they did at PGC when they felt like, oh, we get it. We're a good team. We know what to do. We can play aggressively. For all of 2025, they're literally starting the first international event with that ability to say, hey, we've got the momentum, we've got the confidence. This could be a very scary year.
It could be for sure, but also with them having 4 more games to go, and they already have what would we consider to be above the cutoff point. Now they can say, okay, guys, we're going to be third-partying some teams. We're going to be seeing some teams that, okay, we don't want to see you guys in the finals. So they're going to have that focus either. I don't see the hot drops coming just yet, maybe on Mirror, but they could have that focus on, okay, we're seeing some teams fight. We're going to be third-partying them. We're going to be gatekeeping them, moving into positions where they can take them out from the inside of the circle and going forward for that. That's really the focus, what I'm looking for.
I mean, that's a really good point. We saw Taikula already do it in a previous game because they felt like they were comfortably above the cutoff. The Expendables traditionally is way meaner than the rest of them and is willing to go for some aggressive fights. So I do think that is something a lot of teams have to sort of be aware of, and that is a little bit of the danger of being sort of Team A, sitting at home, waiting to play that last game. Sort of had this out is if the Expendables does do what we're thinking and they go bananas on the 2nd half of this, it could cause a lot of chaos for them to have to deal with going into tomorrow. Well, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to move over to the wild card maps with game number 3 here at PGS 7, so don't go anywhere.
Lah, rada sekarang 80, pantesan aja. Anjir. Pantesan baru ngeh gue. Pantesan dari kemarin kok gue main jelek banget ya. Pantesan guys. Custom sih. Deathmatch saya, kita deathmatch. Pantesan render scale-nya coy jelek banget aja. Render scale 80 buat apaan coy. Siapa ini? Yang kemarin kah yang main ini cu? Kita coba dulu 35 deh. Tester. Ya nggak mati dong. Nggak mati dia. Hey. Mati juga gua kira, bro. Suy, nggak mati dia. Masa gitu sih anjir. Segitu di belakangnya. Nggak jago gua kali 4 cuy, kali 3 sih baru jago gua. Udah mulai kah? Ntar lagi mulai. Mati juga gua, campur woi. Kalian suruh melawan bertiga. Datang ke Jakarta. Kayak gitu. Anjing. Apa? Kayak gini. Gak tahu tuh, bukan punya gua. Gua kagak bawa, yo. Main guys. Main. Udah ready.
Themselves, but GK just immediately going prone, lying still, waiting for the rest of the boys. Now you can see them on your mini map as Quizzy and Haruzen arriving from the west, and now all of Petrichor Road has arrived, and this has gone from a sneak attack here to a full-on 4v4 brawl.
Oh, the Panther gets himself and his opponent. Oh no, a bit of a mistake there. Chewy springs to life, trying to get into some kind of safety. What a peek there around the corner. PWD gone. Petrichor Road here, seeming like they're going to be able to come out of this relatively unscathed. Yeah, Ming got knocked, but I think he's okay. Okay, not out in the open though. Quizzy, it's kind of a tough battle here. Has to reposition, able to get down.
Good shot from Nixie as Virtus Pro has now entered the fray, and he's going to get the knock on the knock and the flush as well. So a point going over into the pocket of Virtus Pro as we get to finally see them inside a circle, not eating blue for once. This is a rare treat here.
It's a welcome surprise for sure. Meanwhile, GK just...
That's tough. I mean, you would... I understand the Panzerfaust, the play to shoot the toesies. You hope that maybe it takes out both guys on the outside, but unfortunately, it only takes out one, so the other guy's there just to eat. Yeah, well, and yourself. I mean, it's a suicide pact for sure, but you hope that maybe you get a little bit lucky on it. Unfortunately, that time it didn't work out that way, so GK now down to 2 as we check in with that wonderful player from the Expendables Glories. I believe we might have an interview with him.
Hi, I'm Lisa, and I'm here with Polaris from the Expendables. They had really good performance in the last 2 Ergo games. Can you give us a recap of the 1v3 for the chicken dinners?
Em đã thể hiện rất là tốt ngày hôm nay, thì em có thể nói một chút về cái tình huống mà mình đã 1 clutch 3 trong cái trận đấu vừa rồi để giành được top 1 hay không?
Với tình huống một Club 3 ở trong trận đấu vừa rồi thì em thấy đấy là team TKL và họ là một team khi mà họ sẽ hung ác, nên là khi mà nhìn thấy team đấy thì em rất là tức và em muốn làm cho họ im mồm lại, nên là em đã clap họ luôn.
So in the last fight, I was against TKL Thai Cooler, and they are a team that whenever they kill someone, they would just scream, and I just want them to shut up so that I kill them.
Ooh, okay. Thank you very much, and back to the casters.
Well, hell, if you want to get them to shut up, getting a three-piece, a 1v3 off them for a win is a heck of a way to do it, Clories. Jeez, this man flexing. Vietnam's finest, as you can see, is pros setting there. Again, same with Ixlef. Just copy his, and you can 1v3 the best.
Yeah, exactly. That's all it takes. It's simple as that, folks.
Just like that.
Just like that. But
Ease
man,
peas.
I just love that stuff from players when they're just like,
Bro, I love the
you know,
swag.
I took exception to that.
Oh my god. I
So
love
it's
the
time
swag on it.
time to shut them down.
You know, I feel like a lot of these guys are always thinking it, but very rarely do you see somebody come out and say it. And Clory's just got, he's that dude, man. He is that dude. He does not care. He will come out and let you know that
Jangan di bawah dulu.
take exception to your shouting and screaming and said, you know what, this is how I'm going to get you.
Gue bawa karo apa kayak, Bang?
Freaks making their way down from the northern island now. We'll see in a little bit of a spot here. Biel on the low side, Santastico Souls on the high side. Biel maybe just feeding this information over to the rest of the boys, but the camp not going to yield fruit, it does not seem. So maybe Santastico, do you even take the long range shots at this point? I mean, what's the point?
No. There's no reason now. I think it just, you know, you're gambling that somebody's going to drive over the top. It's a 50-50.
Yeah.
You flip the coin. And so just let him be. I mean, I love these bridges on this map, this one in particular, because it has the high low, and it offers you so many different ways to get it. So that's something I'd like to see a little bit
Kurang kopi sih.
because it really affords you the ability to not just
Guys nih guys.
you know, fight tooth and nail through those bridge camps, and you know, maybe one team just gets stuck on the other side and it becomes a standoff where you're just chewing through blue through half the game. And
absolutely.
I think back to there was a Liquid game in PAS where they got stuck on the western Georgia Pole, not Georgia Pole, Sosnovka Bridge.
Oh yeah.
This is just one of those feels bad man situations.
Hey, anything you can do to give yourself options is going to be for the best. Here's you see Bestia doing a little bit of peacocking. They've got Divine just off to their south and a VP split just off to the north. Everybody playing pretty nice for the most part here in the early game. 61 at 8 minutes as we have a minute left until that phase 1 circle collapses, and we see where the next circle takes us. Everybody, for the most part, inside the circle. The last one arriving just now in
Tianba ya kalau nggak salah deh.
Freaks. So
Masa Tianba baru inget gua. Sekarang kayak itu Tianba dah.
T1 popping the E pickup just in case this thing decides to go down to the southwest. So one in the air already.
Well, we've seen some hard news, so
BNF mana nih anjir?
probably better safe than sorry.
Payah banget cuy, salut nih, nggak ada serem-seremnya KDF anjir.
The Freaks though have Rock, who've kind of mirrored their rotation path. Look at this, Rock has gotten a step ahead of them, so they can continue to kind of harass and delay, maybe even do some damage to the Freaks. But again, got to be careful against this squad. The firepower is pretty fearsome. The real question is does DL have the trap sprung on him? But he's driving in towards the beach, so doing his best to keep the sight lines of any potential opponents cut off. However, they're driving right at BL.
Yeah, this is actually smart play on the part of both squads really here. Rock just kind of reading the rotation path here. Nice shots.
Kan kan saya penting gaming.
Does Freaks stop down and try to go for it? No time, as Solds will finish him off. And now I believe DL, okay, no, it's Salute still by himself. He's going to get in the car and get on and out of there. So good stuff there from ROC to take one away from the Freaks.
Yeah, this is, you know, of the problems I thought the Freaks might have coming into this lobby with the way they play back in Korea, this is actually not it. This is a big problem for another Korean team. T1 is getting cut out of the air. Two players already down, and a third knocked when he lands. It's just Heather alone again for T1.
My goodness, T1 a first circle E pickup. You would think that you would have a lot of room to really work around with. Unfortunately for T1, they just went right into the middle of the Hornet's nest. And now Heather is found by a well-placed grenade. And T1
T1.
so far to start here through 3 games. They're going to have to turn things around once they get to Rondo.
To say the least. I mean, this is not what you would expect. 6 points, averaging 2 points.
Nanti kan stick kan, sumpah. Expect dong.
Headshot and the drive-by for Furia is good, at least initially, and they are already taking more damage though. Couple teams getting
Buset dah, ini terparty beneran sih ini mah.
with the car. What in the world just happened there? Meanwhile, the
Ya ente-nya Furia.
Furia's just gone between a couple different teams. It's actually 3 teams involved.
That was a little bit more than anybody had in mind when they got involved in those fights to begin with. There is just happening on this northwestern side of Hosan, and looks like TKL should be able to get Spaceman.
Right, dari belakang kah?
17 still off to the north. You can see the duo, Lil Ghost and Xiaobei, starting to work back over here. If they can get to the top of this hill, they might get
Gila,
this and start causing them some problems.
Sumpah kedengeran banget jelas anjir. Ada yang teriak-teriak.
So this is aggressive stuff coming out here.
Don't mati dong.
But the grenades don't fall where they need to. No. Unfortunate.
Kalau ditembak mati sih itu Dons.
That's a toughie. Don is just trying to do what he can. Happy feet, moving around, keeping himself alive, and that's a lot of frags used to try to get.
Oh, juga dulu ditembak kayaknya deh.
Goes right the way.
That's it. Yeah.
Slide to the left.
Look, it's gonna be parked.
Slide all the way through.
Yeah. It's like it spawned there and just blew up. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah, that's actually really surprising coming out from a team of 17's caliber. You would expect just pristine utility usage here at this international level, but I mean that was 5 grenades, I believe, that just went just wide on every single one. So unfortunate stuff for there, but good stuff for Taikula as they're able to keep Dons on his feet and they get 3 alive for the foreseeable future. Petrichor Road, meanwhile, playing from that south side of Hosan. They've got eyes on Forest Natural. Scappy, rather.
He can be scrappy.
He can be scrappy. Scrappy. He's kind of serving as point man a little bit. And it looks like he might have a little bit of an angle here on Ike's left or Ming Ming. A few shots come through. But what a shift again. Going off to the north and including a big portion of that river. Clint, this is a really interesting circle.
No, this is a nasty shift again. I mean, hard shift. That has definitely been the name of today so far. And this one looking nice for the Expendables N17 holding that road up on the north on opposite ends of the circle. Going to be able to potentially make teams really uncomfortable up there. I mean, there is room on the coast, of course. There is a fishing camp, but as the circle leaves the water, it's going to be more and more difficult. Oh, Scappy. No longer going to be able to be scrappy in this one. Taken down. E-Arena has Divine lined up outside of him.
Ya ampun Bestia. Aduh ente-nya Bestia. Udah sih. Selef oke, selef dapat 1.
I mean, they are in the circle and they're in a little bit of a dip here. As you see Divine trying to take care of Forest, as Forest trying to do a long wrap, I think, down to the south. We'll see if they go east or west and try to avoid Hosan. But there is so much action going on in and around Hosan that is just, I mean, this seems like it's going to turn into a killing field very, very shortly. Bestia, after flipping their car, the car gets exploded. They're just going to stay alive via the grace of the smoke wall right now. As we see Mime and the rest of the boys just trying to trade utility.
I feel like this is about the spot where Heather, well, okay, let's watch this drive-by. But I want to say, he just drove at him.
I mean, he did.
He just sat in the Porter and just, Jesus, take the wheel, go, go, go. Like,
he was in the back seat, yeah. He's just along for the ride, man. And look at that. Of course, Jacob had angles on it from way downtown. So E-Arena collects, oh man, their first point of the day. This has been a rough one for E-Arena, but they've got 4 alive in here. They've got the south side, and they've got Forest Natural trying to make their way through. They've got a nice little split here. Ike's left going to run into Belmont, and Belmont just
left. Aduh.
1v1. But
Retret sih oke juga ya.
As, oh no, never mind. He's going to finish off Ike's left. Okay, so Belmont's still alive. Good for him.
Itu sih di saya sih salah satu abang-abangan sih.
He's okay. He's okay, guys.
This is working out nicely for Bestia because, again, I think they're in the same spot that Heather died, and that was within reachable grenade range for Day Trade. We even saw them go out and try to do it, but this is buying a little bit of breathing room. Oh, here come the mortars from God only knows where, heading towards TKL, Olympus.
Akhirnya VP.
I just don't think, too many teams shooting at him there, even with the
Akhirnya Virtus Pro cowok.
by just
Nah,
odds.
mana nih arena? Di arena juga.
Exactly. Well,
Di arena emang agak-agak kurang sih. Wah, akhirnya tuh kan dapat juga VP. Wah, teh udah enak banget itu. Komponennya semua udah diambil anjir. Wah, gila TKL kalau nggak DN bakal tabrak sini. Rame banget anjir. Visco sekarang ngeliat rotate terus ya. Iya pasti bakal ke kanan. Rock bakal ke IE pasti. Ini nabrak sih daripada gambling maju depan. Nabrak di arena. Iya. Nggak expect deh.
Using to their benefit to do a ton of damage to some of these other teams, but for Divine, what they can see in front of them, as you're likely going to be going this direction as the game moves forward, is going to be TKL. So you would have liked to have had those mortars, maybe get you a knock so you can find that opportunity to get back in the cars and try to take that spot for yourself. Petrichor Road is just not having a very fun time in Hosan. They are getting shredded as they try to make moves or get forward, and every time they've been thwarted by Day.
Terus ini dari tadi agak gimana ya? VP juga ya, gitu lagi aja dia. Apa tuh maksudnya tuh? Muter gitu. Ente dah. Sama Virtus Pro.
No first aids for Ming Ming either.
Ping.
Collect a few more points for Petrichor Road. Deal has been spotted out. That's bad news for Freaks as they are down to 3 already. It's going to be 2.
Salut ngapain turunnya di situ ya?
Very close attention to E Arena, but now they're going to turn their full attention off to the north. Although it's now down to heaven. Sold has been knocked.
Bener-bener agak-agak juga deh. Maksa gitu.
Maybe find the flush with the grenade, but it's going to go just a little bit too far. And now Rock will pull back in. They've sent RB in to the circle already. They've got a spot. If they want to pull away from this and see if they can wait for Heaven to reveal himself, and there you go, Ming Ming will eventually go down.
Tim Ming.
And Twisted Minds, they've got to hop into vehicles, and they're sending it right over towards
Nabrak TKL kah?
Well, they can find some good timing here. They're trying to get the surround. The problem is Divine might have a little bit of a role. Well, it doesn't matter. Suze just going to take Perfectix out of the equation initially. So one player already knocked for Twisted Minds. Smokes, I'm sure, are coming out. I think they're taking damage from another angle, but it is going to be Suze who finds it. Patulin's going to trade onto Don. He is down. Now here come the frags. Close to that.
Ada Molly, ada Beset Granat sih menang sih.
Almost on trying to get back into this shack. Suze gonna back up and let him get through, but too late. The frags are already on point, and he is done. Twisted Minds collects a point.
Doing their best to keep those smokes cycled. Make sure that they can just avoid any long-range third-party shots because Barpo is sniffing around. 17 also on the north side, and now Daytrade.
Dari belakang ya.
Barpo will find Lou though, and that's going to be Lou down and dusted 17. They see this in the kill feed. They're throwing 3.
Masuk langsung digas.
And they are heading down this way. They want a piece of this action. As Bestia will go down in 11th, the circle is going to pull away from the expendable.
Belum masuk lagi. Dekat sama Virtus Pro masuk juga. Aduh, udah. Mau gimana sih ini Twisted Minds sih udah harus mau nggak mau masuk maju ke TKL.
Oh, it's so good! Right at Spaceman's feet, Patulin's nailing the angle there. And now he's got a little bit of blue zone grenade in front of him. Still though, Example on his own, holding off the forces of 17 as they are starting to group up, starting to see if they can just overwhelm him with firepower, but this is Example, yes they can.
Yeah, that's a tough one, man. You got 3 men just staring down the scopes at you, but it looks like Alkula will get back up to 2. They've got the shed to hide in.
Zaitrad sih gila sih. Iya, ente banget Twist.
As Twisted Minds just gets it's just too much pressure in the end to deal with. Freak's gonna go down in.
Kalau tadi nggak mati sama 17, sama Zaitrad pasti mati.
Now we are down
Sulit dah.
top 7, 24 alive with
Gila sih TKL masih bertahan sih. Goks loh.
maybe starting to pay attention towards 17. That might be the next fight that kicks off here.
Well, if you can get Xiaowu out of the... Well, too bad. You're not going to be able to get Xiaowu. Duckjuice going to get taken down by him. Xiaowu calling for the reinforcements. That frag, though, if it's around the corner...
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, it's so close.
1 HP sih. Ya. Ujung-ujungnya ya. Mati juga sih.
Xiaowu knocked, and now 17 has to turn their attention to the expendables. Daytrade 10 kills in the bag already, looking to do some more damage. They're having a phenomenal group stage, now all the way up into second place. Just TKL above them on that scoreboard. So for a lot of these teams here at the top, this is all just kind of money in the bank. But for 17, they need to get some more points to really feel secure going into that grand finals.
Oh ya, Arena akhirnya.
Absolutely. They had 4 up here, but unfortunately getting shot in the back by Belmont.
TE 17, let's go.
Doing a trap onto the expendables on hold. The expendables trying to get somebody a little bit
Nggak expect sih Lil Ghost di situ sih.
Ghost who's hiding in the
Siapa sangka anjir.
He will get taken down by Duckjuice though, eventually traded down. Delwyn gonna go down now as well out in the blue. Tanvu is down but is resable if 7-7.
Delwyn nggak mungkin di...
Oh, they've got to be aggressive here. They've got to go and try to take this as it's a 2v2.
And now you've got a P90 for Cloris. I mean, we've already seen what he can do when he's given some of those extra tools to play with. He can put them to darn good use, and he's going to go sprinting in off the back of those stuns.
Satu lagi.
Combining with Duckjuice to get him, and going for the other. Finds a headshot, finds the
Duckjuice,
finish.
Duckjuice
doing a phenomenal job.
It's unfair.
Datang lagi Zaitrad.
Push up into 17, and they end up getting some goated gear to go into their fight, but now Tanvu has been knocked, Duckjuice has knocked, Belmont and the rest of the day trade boys, they know that the expendables are hurting. They've left Tigger down on the south side. Flash and Belmont not going any farther than they have to here. So the expendables may
Di Arena
get a
kah?
little bit of a reprieve. And yeah, they're going to get back up to 2 as now day trade has spotted out Divine and they've spotted out Dayon as just
Lah minggir weh. Geseran.
Man, they are just on a tear, our day trade. They are doing
Ini gila sih. Diam.
Chef's kiss there from VP. I mean,
Cubby.
against that, grenades are just landing. You're in a dip. Pray that there's a little off point is basically all you got. Okay, some crates gonna drop right in front of the arena. Some opportunities to maybe scoop up some gear. The problem is Cloris and the expendables have zero fear. They don't care how many more players you have than them. They're coming at you. They've got a P90. They've got some confidence. And
Lah di Arena.
trying to get the res up on him. And yeah, Lyrics is going to get it, but I think there's something. Oh, Blue Zone just spawned right behind him. And look at Cloris. He's going to funnel them.
Mati dong, Jacob dong.
Off guard, and he's got him.
Goodness. Look at the guts on this guy. Like, he is just...
Derek sih kalau buka badan.
He knows he's better. And Tanvu is going to get the other one in return. Now, Sizzy will find the knock onto Tanvu with that well-placed grenade. Cloris is knocked low. And does he have... Okay, he's still got ammo left in that P90. So he can still get involved. Nurin's off in the distance. Zizzy, I don't know if he's got any more. Oh, he's knocked anyway. It doesn't matter. He can't follow that grenade up.
Sama, masih jauh ya.
Cloris might be able to get the res onto Tanvu, and that's exactly what they're going to go for. 9 kills in the bag for the expendables as they continue to shoot up the leaderboard.
Mati dong.
It's so fun to watch this team. When they're fully engaged, they just run at you at the lobby. There is
Tanvu mati.
Tanvu, but Cloris getting through some heals. Blue Zone is in front of him. Just lets loose with
Nah, ini TKL saatnya.
somewhere near his opponents.
Iya, Arena. Ente banget sih.
Oh, that should be it.
Goodbye TKL.
Yeah, very nicely placed by Tigger.
Wah, Zaitrad sih.
On the warpath, looking to get
Fix Zaitrad sih ini mah.
and to build upon the lead they have just claimed over TKL.
16 kills and absolute dominance over the lobby here on Tego for Day Trade, but the job is not done yet. They've got 2 for Divine and 2 for E-Arena that they have to still get rid of, and they have to
Tiger cari info DN.
You see Divine, Hella, and Barpo playing on the other side of that road. So
Belmont sama Flash nahan di arena.
They are in a little bit more trouble as Flash and Belmont have them just dead to rights playing around that rock.
I mean,
Tiger kalau knock sih udah ente. Sumpah. Dengeran suaranya.
he's prone on the other side of the road. I don't know if
Tiger ente sih sumpah ini mah. Aduh.
he got close enough that Hella heard it is my question. Because okay, now he knows. He has to win that battle.
Good
Okay.
Ya udah.
That's a huge win for Divine. Now they have an opportunity to potentially win this game. Barpo trying to harass E-Arena, who got forced off of their position by Day Trade, had to make a move because of the circle anyway. Grenades are going to come out.
Belmont ngeri juga ya.
Belmont, yeah, that grenade not even going to quite get close. You have to be a few steps further for Divine to get those frags. There you go. That one
Mati dong,
is
kena
gonna
blue
find
zone.
the mark, and Shizzy almost getting taken down. Opportunity here
Nah,
for
blue zone.
everybody.
Masih belum.
E-Arena might lose a player, but this still can go a lot of different ways.
Hokinya.
Sure can, and it's still within the realm of possibility that Zizzy's able to get Nuren's back on his feet. But, well, okay, I say that. Flash will go ahead and finish that off, as I still like Day Trade's chances here. They have that high ground. They have the other side of the road. Flash and Bell
Kalau zona maju lagi ya.
moving around, and you got to imagine that Divine will have to put their attention towards getting rid of Zizzy before they can do anything about Day Trade. But that
Harusnya cari infonya pelan aja ya. Tiger ya tadi ya.
absolutely huge
Bener-bener mau nge-clear anjir sendirian.
in this late game.
Yeah, if you can take out E-Arena, if you can get that last player as Divine, you've got an opportunity to
Kalau ada mobil enak sih.
find some different space or something, but they don't have any vehicles. So
Yeah.
that's the real. I mean, you could maybe find ways to crawl underneath.
Aku maju ke depan dikit masih bisa dari
trip
trip tuh.
in front of them by the road.
It's a little
You could
ridge line, yeah.
maybe prone there, throw some smokes, and do something with that. But you got.
Ada mobil tabrak di arena aja udah.
The flanks right now
Trade-nya.
are very, very challenging for Divine, especially being on the bad side of the circle to boot. Day Trade is gonna have to come down the hill.
Harus
too, so
maju. Nggak
we
mau
found that
dari
going for
trade-nya.
you, which is nice, but
Yeah,
it's not easy.
I think they were waiting to see where the next circle decided
Udah,
to go,
enaknya
making
nahan.
sure that Day Trade was going to have to leave that hard cover spot that they had. They're still going to slowly work their way in. They know exactly where Zizzy is. They're going to keep eyes on that rock, but they might actually focus Day Trade here before anything, because Zizzy could just keep playing around this rock. He's got the UAZs or the vehicles, burnt out vehicles around him as well. So that's a lot of cover here for Zizzy. So that's just a lot of just a pain in the butt really to get rid of him. So they might just use him and just do a you know, mutual agreement here that, okay, let's get rid of Day Trade here first, and then we'll figure out who wins here at the end.
The real thing that I think might come into play is that Day Trade has way more frag grenades. Shizzy has none, and you only have 3 for Divine. So Divine has to be really choosy with when they decide to let those out, and that's a great spray for Barpo.
DN kau ini,
That
aduh.
is your big game player coming through and stepping up when you need him, as he has made it a lot more difficult for Day Trade. Flash in the smoke. Going out the other side. I don't think Shizzy saw him. Yep, until it's too late. Flash was already out there looking at him. Now you can maybe make a move as Flash. Is that frag
Nyampe kah?
going to get close is the question.
That is ambitious to say the least.
Mati dong.
Trying to make the mad run, but Barpo will be the one that gets credit. Now it's just Divine versus Zizzy, a 2v1. We saw a 1v3 for the win just one game ago. Can Zizzy pull off the same for E-Arena, as Divine has the blue at their backs? And Zizzy has that rock to work with. The utility is going to have to be pristine, and Barpo using the push to get a little bit closer.
Zigzy.
That might be a little bit more on point. Goes a little bit too long.
Yeah, good cover fire though. I like the idea of putting Hella up on the rock so you can cover Barpo while he makes the push forward. Now he's going to have to be really good around this corner. Let that stun come through. Now's your chance to strike, and he's got it done. Divine coming through with a win on Tego. This is a team that is full
Andai
of
saja
young,
Tiger nggak
inexperienced players, and they
begitu.
just got their first global win in PUBG.
Huge stuff for them, and you can see just clinical at the end. Now they do have some experience on that squad in the form of Barpo, right? So they've got that information to kind of feed over the play. But again, you never know what it's going to be like until you're actually in that chair, until the lights are shining, and until you are in that clutch position where a win is on the line. And they came through in a big way here on Tego to secure a victory.
Yeah, I mean, you have some quote-unquote unknowns on that team, and they come through big time.
Well, that's going to do it for Tego, so let's throw it over the desk to get us prepared to go over to Rondo, where it's looking like it might be a little bit spicy.
It is a divine victory as they come away with a beautiful 1-2 push to get EA off the rock. Barpo hitting every single shot, and it's fun to see this team take the win. I think you heard at the end of that segment, Paper Thin saying, you know, it's a young team, not a lot of experience. That's true. Barpo spent a little bit of time with Gen G, but outside of that, these guys just don't have a lot in terms of international play. To see them come out and get a victory here and to do it with a very, what do I want to say, like, wherewithal. They were very controlled. They were very thoughtful how they did it. It was fun to watch.
Yeah, honestly, and on top of that, it's been quite of a hectic game here.
That's
it's
true.
our Wild Cup map still, but it's, you know, some of the things we're seeing, you know, the pull-ups, the drive-by, some of the aggression we're seeing, you can definitely tell that some of the teams have already played quite a lot of games. They're feeling comfortable. And some other teams, they're just playing their third game, and there's just mayhem everywhere.
Yeah, I don't know what this Furia crash was. Taikula was happy about it. I think maybe they thought that the whole team was up on the rock and not the shack. Very strange, because Furia had a really good couple of games going into this, or some warm-up, and that just wasn't going to work for them. So they end up going down. We go back here to where we get Day Trade, making some plays. Taikula, again, inside the mix of things. This team doesn't seem to want to let off of that gas. And then it came down to Barpo, hitting shots left and right from the middle of the game to the end of the game.
Yeah, and also the teams obviously that have to come out of Hosan, so much pressure and compression coming in from that southern side. Nice from here from Nixie with nades, but BP, it felt like without the pressure here from Day Trade that they would have had so much control, but they just lost the fight with them, and everything kind of fell apart for them. Day Trade managed to get a good amount of points out of this one here.
You get up on the trash can, you hope it works. It does not. Down he goes. So now we're going to jump over to Divine. You got Hella and Barpo doing a good job of defending their space, and then they turn to face up against E-Arena on this rock. And what we saw was a really good push while Barpo snuck his way forward. I think we saw...
Utility use is really on point here, right?
And Zizzy essentially, as you said in the green room, ate that last flash and just lost all conception of where Barpo was on the push.
Sound's gone, vision's gone, everything Barpo just sent in, right? They even had they had lethals, that nades.
They did.
But yeah, they just wanted to get the stun grenades in and just gain a little bit of advantage and get close to them. And obviously 2 versus 1, but there's just so much confidence in them. Full send, close it out, right?
Well, and they did a really good, you know, he did have a little bit of a terrain advantage, but I think the way that they used those lethals, the way they kept the flashes bouncing, he couldn't look over the top of the rock. There was just nothing that could be done. So Barpo got up there, nice little play, and a good win for Divine. You can see how happy they are to walk away with that 7 kills.
Oh my God.
But Day Trade, 17 kills in that game. What happened? Why? That's incredible.
Won almost every single one of their engagements, right?
Yeah.
And look, 27 grenades used versus the 4 of Divine, right? It's just insane. Obviously, a huge amount of damage coming in from there, but they're going to be walking away with the vast majority of the points here from this game, right? They've killed so many. Divine, though, on the other hand, they need the points. They need to get in here and obviously get their consistency going here. Barpo, obviously, being one of the most experienced guys. 1K club and 5 kills for him, and he's able to step it up here for Divine.
Absolutely. So while we will end up going back to talk about Day Trade in a minute, because that was an epic game from them in terms of stats. I mean, they wiped out almost a fourth of the lobby. Barpo is going to get a little bit of love here with over 1,000 damage, looking very good. Wonderful does walk away with 1 kill and only 84, but I think this was a team play into that last half where Hella supported Barpo, who will probably be our man of the match.
Yeah, no chance he's not
there
that.
He
That's
is.
good to see, but still, And it has to come from the winning team. Sure, some of the day trade guys obviously had some huge impact there too, but this was huge. This was a team effort, but led by Barpo.
Absolutely. So congratulations, Barpo, on that man of the match, as Divine does manage to get some much-needed points up on that board. Day trade was our next talking point. These guys being able to play essentially any fight that was given to them and walk away with a victory there. Their confidence is going to have to skyrocket after this.
The last year and a half for APAC has just skyrocketed in
wild.
how good they're getting, right? Obviously, the kind of reformed day trade roster here coming in, being able to do what they usually do in APAC region in terms of the qualifiers, in terms of PGS qualifiers and so far, being able to do that here as well at PGS is just incredible. And I love to see that they're able to kind of step it up to this level.
You know, we often talk about this in sort of esports. When you start out in esports, you're often working that second job, that third job. You're doing what you need to sort of make that grind.
Right.
Our APAC teams who've kind of started hitting these wins over the last 2 years, a lot of them, when you talk to them, have said, we've been able to get into team house, we've been able to get our gear upgrade, we've been able to grind full time. And you're really seeing the fruit of that coming into last year and this year, where these APAC teams just are mechanically mind-bogglingly advancing over a lot of the other fields because they just seem to be 100% bought in.
And it makes it extremely scary now, with day trade being on 84 points, right? 3 more games to go for them. And now they can literally just run into anyone they want, and they can destroy them completely. And especially with the teams here in our bottom, we have some teams that still on single digits here after some games. They need to get more points on the board. If they're running in a team like day trade, like we just saw VP do, they're currently on 8 points. They could have gotten the 10 points from that game that day trade.
Especially when you talk about a team like, say, Freaks, okay, or T1. It's been actually a rough day for Korea here, as they have not managed to put together a lot of points. I think Freaks has ended with something like 7 so far after our first 3 games. T1 is averaging 2 or 3 points per game tops. My worry for the Freaks is the fact, that they are maybe playing a little bit out of sorts. Like, they haven't quite adjusted the international lobby. Maybe they had a little too much fun in their regional lobbies.
Too much space.
Too much space. And I think that my worry is those teams at the top, if I wanted to mess with someone, Freaks would be a really good target right now.
Yeah, that's when you talk to players here, like the first thing that they really recognize is that you get punished immediately for the smallest mistakes. And that's really the scary thing. Like, if you try to take too much space, spread out too far, you lose a player, you lose 2 players, you're down to 2. You need to play a salvage game. And here, like, there's just so many good fraggers. You're going to get shot at if you don't have cover. You're going to get knocked. You're going to be delayed by so much. And you're going to get put in situations and be forced to fight against someone because they decide, okay, we want this space. Normally, they would be able to kind of shoot them away and hurt them away a little bit by engaging on them in the middle distance there. But yeah, so many early engagements and kind of close engagements because the teams realize, okay, 3 more games to go. We need to get the points now. And they are aggressive, especially coming out of the APEC region, also from China, of course.
I think it was kind of a tale of 2 C teams here with Petrichor and Freaks. The idea that Freaks is sort of being played the same way they were messing with their regionals. Petrichor has completely changed up their system. They're playing very international, very careful, very mediated PUBG. And I think it's pretty fascinating to see how those 2 teams had a chance to approach this, took 2 different tacks, and having very, very different results. VP's been pretty fascinating. They fasted on the blue. Last game, they went straight to the middle. It seems like they're trying some different strategies here.
Yeah, there were some situations where Beamy had, tons of first aids. He could have maybe healed a little bit more, but yeah, we'll see how they kind of continue going into that. Their strategy is usually to try to get as many placement points as possible. They put themselves in mid-game into a spot where they know, okay, in case we have fights ahead of us where it's going to take too long, we're going to leave a guy behind with enough first aids and put the DMR support in. And here, it's not really come to fruition for them just yet here. 8 points for them so far in 3 games. Not the consistency you kind of want over the course of 12 games.
Right. Another big shout before we go into the game. I want to say Taikula again has absolutely been insane as they came out in, I think it was 4th place in that game, a 2nd in the previous one. This is a team that, I thought maybe they do something, but when you compared them to Petrichor out of their region, you thought, okay, there's no way they're that strong. They have been absolutely unstoppable, and I don't think it's just confidence. It seems like they just smell the lobby. They get it.
Yeah, 82 points in 9 games. That is incredible for a team that's coming in and having a little bit, less experience compared to, or some experience compared to the other guys that they're going up against, right? Some of these guys, we're talking PTC champions in this current lobby, right? And multiple of them. And they're coming in, they're just showing up. They're taking the fights. They're like, we don't care who we fight. We're going to take the aggression no matter who it is. We're not going to be calculated if it's a weaker team that we think or a stronger team that we're going to back off of. They're coming in completely straight to that. And yeah, being super aggressive, especially even against teams like the Expendables, you know, last year's PGC champion. They don't care. They're taking them on.
All right, so as we get ready to roll into Rondo, we are going to see the typical test track, Neox sort of throwdown. Do you expect a hot drop in that area?
No.
Okay. Well, more of a shared functionality of that area, right?
It's usually, I would expect more share. Yeah, like the factory side, the test track side, be more shared. If that's even going to happen here, it really comes down to, okay, how confident are these guys? Twisted Minds are looking at 69 points. Don't really see them anyone being worth for them to share it with.
All right, it's time for us to roll into Rondo. Let's head over to the casters and get this game underway.
Thank you very much, boys. And yes, we are getting ready to go to Rondo. And right off the bat, the thought about a test track hot drop all of a sudden becomes a little bit more complicated because we have the rare Rondo double plane.
So now I am really trying to figure out who's in which plane because that matters for who's going to be able to get to test track first. So if they're both in the same plane, then whatever. But if they happen to be in different planes in terms of Twisted Minds and 17 is who we're talking about, if you would have been watching Poro's thing earlier, oh, Twisted Minds already out of the plane. So they're just not even going to screw with it. 17's in the other one. It's 17's by default.
There you go. All right, well, hot drop averted, crisis averted, and it's sunny skies all the way around here now through Rondo.
Just like you predicted.
Just like I predicted. Well, I don't know if I completely predicted, but yeah, Day Trade getting a little bit in trouble there because I think they had eyes on Dancheng, and now Twisted Minds has taken that from them. So Day Trade going to find themselves a little bit caught in the middle of a rock and a hard place between Test Track and Dancheng, having to find a spot to loot in the kind of compounds just around that area. And other than that, it looks like maybe Bestia and the Expendables getting close to each other, dropping for vehicles, but that might be it.
Maybe
yeah, I think so.
Tanvu messing with the Freaks when that's kind of where the circle's heading up towards the stadium by where the Freaks are. TKL over there by Zhao Tin. So, you know, you kind of typically are seeing these circles in one area or another, whether it be test track or stadium. This time it is going to be leaning in the stadium direction.
Love it.
The stadium finishes are fun. We've seen some good games.
So fun.
Good games in there.
I remember, I can't remember the event, but I do remember a stadium finish where you had, I think it was FaZe on the roof of stadium, and TSM was on the bottom. Gen G was working the outside. It was just a lot of fun.
It was. I remember the game. I know exactly which one you're talking about. Trying to, but we're old and
we are. Yeah. We, you know, dementia starts setting in eventually, and you know, eventually you just start. They'll start running together a little bit, but it's okay. I remember it happened, and that is what's the most important here. Is the Expendables already in vehicles, already on the move, getting a little bit closer towards stadium. Now, they haven't gotten a chance to loot very much, as you can see they're sitting there pretty naked in terms of armor and helmets, but they should have places to stop here. But we do have an interview with one of the lads from Bestia.
La base del equipo fue siempre Silsen y yo. Bueno, hicimos algunos cambios hasta que llegó Mime. Y después necesitábamos un cuarto jugador, sabíamos que Vini se había quedado sin equipo y bueno, nada, lo llamamos y terminamos juntos clasificando. Es muy complicado comunicarse en otra lengua de la que no sos nativo, pero yo diría que estamos a un 60% por decir de ser la versión final del equipo y por lo menos ya tuvimos un buen arranque ya que clasificamos a la PGS.
Well, I tell you, one time when communication is not a problem, and that's when you're by yourself pulling off one of the most clutch plays that the Americas has ever seen. And if you haven't gotten a chance to go look at how Bestia even got here in the first place, go see what DraftKings was able to do in that final game of the PUBG America series. It was a thing of beauty for sure. But you have to give these guys credit. Having that multiple languages on the same team has to be difficult for communications, but they still found themselves here.
For sure. I mean, it is something that takes some adjusting. And for Mime, you know, he's got to make the bigger adjustments in some ways because he's the English speaker.
The odd man out.
The odd man out, but you know what? They're here. They've got a chance trying to make the best of it as they can. So far, mixed results. 34 points isn't too bad, but, you know, you've only got these 3 other games. You know, Bestia played yesterday.
Yep.
So you need to rack up a few more points here, get it going, and you might be able to get yourself into the grand finals at the very least. So certainly looking to try to turn things around a little bit. They're a little bit outside, I'd say, right now of kind of like average point range of getting there in terms of like if they keep getting the same amount of points they already have. You know what I mean? They need to pick it up.
Yeah, 34 through 9 games is respectable, as you said, but if you want to make sure that you find yourself above that 16th place cut line, you're going to have to do just a little bit more. Well, they've got 3 more games to do it, and right now
mati sih ini kalau di-push.
on the edge of that zone as we see Freaks and the
Ya
Expendables
tuh, MP5K udah megang.
starting to run into each other here.
Shotgun
just to
udah
the
megang.
south of Stadium proper, playing around in
Diganti
these
deh, diganti.
apartments. Tanvu just walking
Apa aja 4
around
orang sih.
completely free and clear as you like.
Kabur
See,
lah.
there's a little bit of an idea of what the cutoff points has looked like rather in the group stages of all these previous PGSs. Now PGS 5 notwithstanding, most of the other ones in mid 50s. Sound
Wih,
about
PGS
right.
5 gila sih 63 poin.
Strange one. That PGS 5, that one.
Dipancing doang. Oh, salutnya ngejauh juga ya.
I remember that, and everybody's like, oh, yeah, you know, 54, 55 points is the cutoff, and all of a sudden it jumps up by 8, and I'm like, what in the world happened here?
A little nutty.
Well, it was fun. That's what matters.
It's always fun, though.
It
isn't
is, truly.
It truly is. Well, a lot of teams starting to make their way over in this stadium area now. We saw Freaks and the Expendables trading shots long range. Now T1 has made their entry just off to the north.
Twist, mau kemana Twist?
Trailing right behind Petrichor Road, coming in from the southeast. Now there's still 1, 2, 3, 4 teams that are not even inside the zone. I mean, they are taking their sweet, sweet time. But, you know, you can kind of afford to do that in this game, especially in a circle like this.
Yeah, and especially on Rondo.
Yeah.
There's just no reason, and sometimes because there's so much playable surface area on this map that you necessarily need to be really aggressive early. Sometimes, you know, second, third circle might force a fight. You can third party it, make your way in through that, or just emergency pickup. There's tons of options on the map, so definitely no real rush. But Batulin's there, got knocked by Guizera out in the open. Knows other players are coming. Is Furia just going to try to hammer down on top of him?
Oh, wow, Furia, this is
This
aggressive stuff coming out from the Latin American squad.
Oh!
And they will finish off Batulins, but Lou
Satu
will
lagi.
be there to take out Posa. And now
Nggak
Twisted
masuk.
Minds once again find themselves in a little bit of an
Kabur.
early game scrap.
Iya.
As Haven will take down Lou, example, trying to hold the corner for his teammate, make sure he doesn't get flushed just yet. But the rest of Furia has now
Gila, sekarat
arrived.
banget
And
sih.
Haven will get him down a little bit low. Nice grenade from example, though, will slow things down.
Dude, that first spray by Lou, though, on the car driving by was absolutely disgusting.
Dirty.
Hit a bunch ahead. And now Haven looking to find an angle out this window, maybe even going for a flush or seeing if he can catch somebody trying to get over here. That grenade not going to quite go far enough. Perfectix on the roost, trying to use that chimney to protect himself a little bit.
That's a good read by Perfectix. Oh boy, Gizera saving Private Posa as they get him out of there just before the red zone hits. And now it's a Kraken.
Kedengeran nggak suaranya nih?
That roof side. Still keeping eyes for Perfectix, although Perfectix has since left that high ground and Twisted Minds back on the move, trying to retreat, come in from different angles. And look at this example, going for the res onto Lou. So great play here from Twisted Minds.
Had to pull off for a second because he heard some footsteps, but now should be able to stick it, I believe. Lou, yep, back up on his feet, trying to get that heel forward, and Furia trying to figure out where exactly Twisted ended up. You know, they know they're somewhere in that vicinity off the back of that knock, but not exactly sure where they landed. Those are some frags, you know, anticipating that Furia had already wrapped around that side of the house. Twisted wants to make sure it's clear, so they're being diligent about opening up this space, making sure it's safe, that they can get into this house. Little things like that, that's why this team is so good. They don't leave anything unchecked.
Yeah, they're definitely they're definitely backs against the wall right now, but sometimes that is exactly how these guys like it. Furia were aggressively pushing in. They wanted all the smoke from Twisted Minds to begin with, but now that they've kind of evened things out, they're going to slow things down. They've secured their 1 point off of Batulins, and the one good thing both of these teams have going for them right now is nobody really kind of looking down their scopes in this direction, with the exception of maybe Petrichor Road off to the north. So they have time to play this out should they decide to do so. I think this might be Perfectix just kind of covering for his teammates while they get back to the other side of the compound here as we check in with Divine. They've got the high ground overlooking Stadium from that southwestern side.
And they also did get a kill onto TKL, so maybe it was in this vicinity. It was Barpo who found it. We didn't get to see it on camera, and yeah, I suspect that's where he found that kill onto Cold.
Ooh.
And the circle just keeping Twisted and Furia inside of things. So now things could get a little bit weird for Twisted and Furia, because exactly, if E-Arena or somebody rotates into them, there might be a fight that brews there, because outside of the north side of Yulin, there's not a ton to play with in some of this part of the map. Sure, there's some hills and other things. There's some flat areas that are going to cause teams to kind of be forced into certain positions. E-Arena goes past, so we'll have to wait and see exactly what their rotation looked like. T1 angling down in this direction somewhat as well, though I would have expected them to stop a little bit sooner. They might run right into E-Arena. Yeah, they see E-Arena and they pull off.
You can see, oh, Cold just, that's not where you want to, you don't want to be standing still on a hill here, as Barpo's got eyes like lasers. But T1, it's been a little bit of a rough sled for them so far here today, but fortunately for them, they did so well yesterday that they're currently sitting in 6th place, 45 points overall, as PWD doing a little bit of drive-by scouting in the glider. Will take a few shots in the butt for his troubles. But that should be Geekay getting a little bit of information. And actually, they're going to run into a south side of E-Arena's rotation path here. So,
Day Trade dropping right out of a helicopter near Perro. See if there's anything that comes out of that. E-Arena settling up inside, taking a little bit of damage. Yeah, okay, so Day Trade is actually getting the better of Petrichor Road on that drop. That's kind of interesting to me. I thought Petrichor Road might be the ones doing some of that damage. Not sure exactly what happened there, but Nan on his own has been eliminated. He got caught in a split.
Yeah, just happened to catch him. Unfortunately for Petrichor Road. Again, just kind of a slow day for them. 20 points, not terrible, but definitely not what we were expecting from these big heavy hitters. I mean, to say nothing of Freaks as well. Freaks right in a really rough day. So, definitely not playing out the way we expected it, as we introduced, everybody was kind of looking at Group C as that big group of death, you know, with all the heavy hitters in there, and it has been anything but the heavy hitters feasting so far, as we've seen a number of different winners, a lot of unexpected ones, and now Petrichor Road down to 3, and they do have center circle, but good work from Day Trade to secure that spot as they hold on to their position in 1st place overall with 85 points.
Looks like Divine has to give up some territory to Forest. The Expendables also reaching out from the stadium to see what is going on. You know, they're hungry for kills. They're having a good day. They're just kind of playing it to see what happens now. They're happy to go for those big moments and just get the kills. They're basically already, they're more than basically, they're definitely in the grand finals. There you go, Tanbu springs to life, takes down Baron. Forest having troubles. Tanbu though, kind of a weird angle. Yeah, he is going to be under pressure. That's actually the Freaks who are hitting him as well. So he's trying to find a spot to prone down, trying to get a smoke out. He's dangerously low, and it's actually Olympus who gets him.
Expendables just in a little bit. Fortunately, he's got a guy right next to him, though, so that should be Rezable.
Langsung lah digas lah Forest.
Feed that information to Olympus, gonna let him know, like, hey, push this. Go now, now. We got to get that
flush.
Masih nyantai. They are in desperate need of points. Boris just scraping the bottom right now as they get the re-knock onto Tanvu after the res came through. And some good throwables. Should get another one as they find up juice. So Forest Natural now collecting a few points off of the heavy hitters, the Expendables.
I was kind of hoping Olympus would just like crash his glider
Just
into the Expendables, but yeah, this is obviously the better play. What I want to see versus what's actually the right play. Certainly well coordinated there by Forest Natural Gaming, as using some of that high ground observation to lead those grenades into good places. Works very well. The Expendables, though, now have to watch their backs because they know that previously there had been a team there, but as we can see on the map, the Freaks have actually left the stadium, so they're kind of keeping track of everything around them. And the Expendables have a very difficult situation facing them. Here's this drop that I wanted to see.
Yeah.
What happened on just
Baru denger lah,
surrounded?
Gap, baru denger.
Oh,
Oh
just
boy.
uses
You
the
just
window.
Yeah, you just get thrown there. I mean, he was on his own, you know, so the chances were pretty high that he was going to get
Kalah anjing.
taken down. But, yeah, I mean, that's just straight up losing the 1v1 through the window.
Nembak apa nih sih?
Now, scrapping around on the western side, they've got Divine just off the other side of these hills, but they haven't got a good read on how split and how wide this split from Divine is. So Wonderful could be able to come around here and get a really good angle, but yeah, Beamy kind of in an off angle here. Yeah, you see he's got a little bit of a shot there into their backs, so that might put the brakes on Divine in their push here.
Yeah, I think you're right. And that's opened up some space, though.
Agak kurang gini, bisa gimana nih, bisa?
Still have some high ground at the edge of the circle that I think they can stand on. Meanwhile, Beamy gonna chew through a little bit of blue. This one not nearly as dangerous, not like he's sitting on 30 first aid kits out here. So, you know, I wouldn't say this is full Bloomy yet, but
no.
He's definitely just, you know, creating that extra angle. But out in the open, Nixie taken down by Wonderful. Catches him just reaching out a bit too far, and that's going to be a player down for VP.
Yeah, that was really well done by Wonderful, and you could see it developing slowly as he went in for that wide flank, but he did hear the engines of Forest just off to the north, so he's going to pull back just a little bit, not be a little bit more, not keep that aggression going. Meanwhile, the Expendables, well, they are stuck out in the blue. Forest Natural putting their full attention over towards Glories will win the 1v1 versus Scappy because of course he will. He is a madman. He is insane. He is a dominator. And he will go ahead and collect another point for the Expendables.
He's just built different. I mean, he has just been
Wah, ini dia saatnya.
God only knows what got into him. But man, oh man. He is
that dog.
That dog. That dog
got
guy.
That dog in him.
He is so good today.
Well, that is actually going to keep them alive as well, because Delwyn was pretty dead to rights, but Glory's getting that knock and that flush will force Forest to go ahead and try to make their way into his own. Divine also will leave VP behind and try to wrap in on that eastern side, the southeastern side. VP will follow as we see Rock and Bestia squaring off as, oh my goodness, RBN down to 5 HP. That's an exploding vehicle.
Heartbreak. All right, Draft King on his own.
God, he would love to get over to his teammates.
It doesn't look easy.
Wah, gila, oke juga sih.
Kind of happening, although Virtus Pro has surrounded this compound, so no matter what happens,
Smoke dulu.
if you're Twisted or Furia, you're likely not getting out of this, or if you do, it's not going to be pleasant.
No.
As example, trying to find a way to get over to his teammate. Roof control still for Guizera, as he's going to let loose with a blue zone. Maybe flush example out of that building. Looking for the opportunity, though. Going to use the smoke. That, to me, indicates that he either wants to go for this flush or he's going to go for the push. He's cutting off the angles so he can safely leave this roof, make his way forward. But Twisted Minds making a counter move of their own. They are abandoning this position.
They are playing chess out here. The rest of Furia back up to full strength. They had to get off the roofs, though, because VP was just off to their north. New Circle has popped, and it's going to go off to the north once again as Clories will survive. He will lose his shotgun rider as Delwyn has been taken down, and there you go. Guman will be the one that gets the shot, and that's going to be the Expendables going down in 15th place, so that is good news for everybody in
Jempol
the
dapat
lobby
lagi.
that's chasing the top of the leaderboard. But the fight between Twisted and Furia, if you thought it was going to be easy, Furia, you thought wrong. They've lost 2. It's down to Gizera and the Kraken, and you can see the damage coming through from that blue zone. I think that's 1 left. It's going to be Lou from Twisted Minds.
Yeah, I even saw the
Nggak akan mungkin mereka juga nge-push nanti.
So he had to
Gimana masuk
go
zonanya nih?
deep into his pockets to make sure that he could find some kills. The timing
Masih
so
dapat
good
lu.
right there.
gila.
Kraken goes down. Lou finds the perfect moment right as he's thinking about the molly.
Satu lagi lumayan.
He strikes. Quizera holding
Tawan
the
dong
angle
suaranya dong.
right around the window. He gets
Masa
spotted.
kalah?
He takes some damage, and Lou's gonna win it out. He's gonna die to the blue, but Twisted Minds wins the battle in essence.
Goodness gracious. I mean, it was the battle that never wanted to end, but
Gila.
Twisted Minds showing once again
Menahan selama
they
itu
are a
anjing.
team to be feared. But Furia, gotta give them props where it's due. They held their own there with the heavy hitters. And meanwhile, while all that was going on, GOPAY got eliminated by E-Arena, who's still
Tetrat
holding
ini
strong on that
ngeri juga
southeastern
ya.
side. Virtus Pro, they lose another one, but they still got 2 alive, trying to find their way in. But it looks like Taukula is looking over in that direction. They're looking over towards Day Trade. They're trying to find some way to get into this next zone.
I'm amazed that DraftKings got back to the rest of Bestia there. I thought
Yeah,
maybe he was going to be.
play.
Yeah, no kidding. Maybe just had enough smokes or just found a good timing, but
That's
congrats
huge
to
for
him.
them because
No, it is.
I mean, dead center circle, and now they got all 3 alive. So Bestia back in a great position here.
I just think we were talking about earlier how they need those points really badly. So that's a huge moment for them. T1 though, hemorrhaging players to E-Arena. Seen a couple of them go down already, and they're losing more. Just has been a struggle for T1. They're another team that needs more points because they've got a lot of teams that are going to be contesting their drop spots. They would love to get into that grand finals to at least kind of maintain their position in challenging.
All right, T1 starting to show up a little bit here as Olympus just lying pro and doing a little peek trading with Heaven, and Heaven will be the winner of that battle. And he will get the flush as well, so another kill picked up there for Freaks as they still have 4 alive. Now that we have made it to Phase 5, I feel like it's been forever since we've seen all 4 Freaks alive in Phase 5. But they have a lot
Ada hari
left
esok.
ahead of them
Virtus
here.
Pro
as
nih
we see.
aneh, kenapa ini dia nih?
Taukula will get rid of Virtus Pro, but they are
Nah,
still
itu
outside the
dong.
zone. And yeah, Petrichor Road.
Pero
Petrichor Road, what is that? That is Ixlef finding a double knock on.
mulai gue.
To the Freaks, and now Salute all of a sudden finds himself by himself. Guman way off to the north, nowhere near
DNF juga
this.
gimana?
Salute had no idea
Biasanya
where these frags are coming from. He threw
masuk
one in
top 5.
desperation right over the top, nowhere
The
near
top
any of the
10.
Petrichor Road players, and it is going bad. That's actually Mime. It's Bestia who's coming in, claiming some of these points. The Freaks are falling apart, and Gumin, really not much he can do to get to DL, to be frank. There's just too many players that are within grenade range of that position. He'd likely just be throwing away his life at this point. Maybe can wait this out a little bit longer. Just see if anybody overextends and tries to go for the flush onto his teammate. But for now, he's just kind of chilling. He's going to go for it, I think. This is
Mana nih
this
dia?
is going to be tough, I would think.
Serius kah?
You would think, yeah, heady play from Bestia to make sure that they get out there and try to send that utility over, get a couple of kills. New circle pops, and Bestia again dead
Masih
center
lu
circle.
tapi lu dia
That play
disiapkan
from
lu.
DraftKings
Oh, racing ngeri ya ban di belakang nih.
making sure he got those 2 reses as 770 will get the knock on a mine, but that should be able to get back on his feet once again as well. Day Trade still on the south side. The rulers of this lobby up to 93 points overall. It has just been it's just been a hell of a 2 days here for Day Trade, and they are set up nicely here for the end game, playing from that south side.
No doubt.
Oh, 17.
They gotta
Tapi
go.
nabrak
They
lu.
gotta knock
Kasih lihat
earlier
tuh.
onto Bestia, so they need to crash and they
Itu
need to
dia.
go now. And they're just swarming.
Ketinggalan.
7-7's got one. They're gone. Bestia wiped out. Central circle taken by 17.
Wow, man, not even
Mengerikan.
an ounce of trepidation
loh,
on the part of
begitu.
17 there. They
Langsung
got in there
tubruk.
immediately. The call was made.
Cepat aja,
and the
udah
full
dapet
set
tengah
came
dia.
through, and now they've
Kalau
got
dilemparin
three inside the
molly,
compound, and they even managed
lemparin
to get a
blue
shot
zone
on the
granat,
other side of the little, what do we
bisa
call it?
ente sih.
River, lake, pond. muddy pit? I'm not sure.
T1 kah ini yang nabrakin? Nge-lag,
Marsh, yeah, let's call it that. But either way, they've got a 3-1 split here as we see T1 finally.
Alright, gengs.
The skill has been shining. They've been able to fight out of some bad
Yeah.
situations.
I mean, they've been put in some very tough spots, and they've put themselves in some very tough spots, but they've managed to hold on. They've managed to collect more points, and so far it's been good enough for 52 points overall in 6th place. And they should, with 2 more games remaining, you would hope.
Aneh banget dah. Nge-lag anjir. Jelas.
That they can get a few more and maybe make themselves have to sweat a little bit less.
Astagfirullahaladzim. Sabar guys. Ini Twitch anjir.
I suspect he's basically dead. I mean, Petrichor Road, they now definitely know he's there because of the shots from 17th, so they just wait. I don't suspect there's much that's from 17th, so they just wait. I don't suspect there's much that Kiss can do, unless, you know, Daytrade just full sends it into 17 and then he pops out and 1v3s Petrichor Road.
You never know.
There's my, you know, there's only one Dr. Strange moment.
Stranger things have happened as Daytrade will send Fanadol and Tigger in to secure the spot by the gazebo inside the zone. Not the best place, but this provides a little bit of cover there from the watchful eyes of 17. And then now they only have to get Belmoth and Flash over there as well. Petrichor Road, meanwhile, they would love to be able to get rid of Kiss, and I don't think they have any idea that Xiaowu is over here. Xiaowu just playing it very, very calmly, coolly. That M60, that should be definitely picked up.
This is tough.
Accuracy through volume, man. It's in rounds down range.
Heck yeah.
Headshot kah ini?
This is tough, though, for everybody not 17 because there just isn't a ton to play with in this circle.
Xiaowu, look at this. He's going to give up his spot. Okay. I mean, that's honestly probably a good play. Like, it would have been great to see if you could maybe sneak somebody away before, but I mean, right now, dead center zone, you've got hard cover, why not use it? But Tigger doesn't care. Tigger finds Little Ghost.
Cakep banget sih cara mainnya tuh. Ternyata rapi gitu loh tempatin posisinya loh.
And Lil Ghost and 17 now down to 3.
Bener enak banget anjir. Tiggernya sih. Tigger bagus banget sumpah.
I mean, what do we even say about Tigger at this point? Like, this guy has just shown up in a huge, huge way here.
Oh, dari Naruto begitu ya. Hati-hati. Tornado DMR sih gila.
Forget it. He just shuts Akeleft down. Akeleft had just picked up level 3 gear, and he puts him on the ground with the mini. Cars are exploding around Petrichor Road. Ming trying to scoot back to find safety to get the res onto Akeleft. Kiss dealt with. 17 bought enough time that they can do it. That blue zone is perfect. It's right on him.
Does he have time to? Okay, the heal does at least.
He's got the blue zone bag.
We'll
He's
go
okay.
on in. He's got the blue zone bag, and now Flash is going to spot him though. Where is this Daytrade been? They are just controlling everything. 10 kills, 99 points overall, and they have got 17 on the back foot as Petrichor Road will get eliminated. It is now down to a 4v2 for the win, and Daytrade is crashing. Tigger wants all of it.
He's got the grenade. It's perfect. 17 has the shot on his lonesome. And they can't do anything. Daytrade is running away with the group stages here in BDS 7.
Leave no doubt. And Day Trade just put on the ground two of what are probably the most preeminent dominant teams in PUBG for the last year or so, Petrichor Road and 17, and they just walked through them like they were nothing. What a performance from this squad so far here today.
They're so good right now. I mean, we talked about the team fighting TKL a lot, but they look even better.
Well, when you're hot, you're hot.
Control
And
mapnya
Day Trade
bagus
is
loh.
absolutely sizzling right now. We are going to throw it over the desk to get ready for our final two games on Miramar.
Kuncinya di Tiger sih, kalau Tiger dapat, ini satu tim udah enak banget. Tapi kalau Tigernya nggak dapat, udah kayaknya ente dah.
Day Trade is here. And I'll tell you what, the wonderful thing about this team is that they are playing out of their minds right now. You got to put your trust. It's not even about one player. Across the board, all of them are having these huge clutch moments.
Yeah, and they're staying full sky strong for so long.
Yep.
They're fighting, you know, fights where it's just
Ya, gimana sih? Oh. Cancel. Turun di mana itu anjir? Nggak jelas bener turunnya deh. Kosong kuncinya. Eh, 7 doang aja. Turun mana? Turun mana nih? Mau kemana ini? Nanti tantun. Tubruk gua ya, kacau juga dia. On my mark, enemies.
Enemy.
Yeah, on my mark. One squad, one squad. Behind. Aduh, sini cuk. Di belakang gua ada nih.
Letting the world know that he has arrived and that he is on a team that allows him to play at his peak. As we see Divine kind of hugging on the eastern side of the zone. They're playing a little bit more on the road side. Now they've got Furia in the mountains just off to their north, and Petrichor Road still rotating in on their south here. Meanwhile, Forest, after losing their one player, they are just hugging the north side of La Cobreria. And you can see kind of the road that they took to get here. Finishing number 3 in the APAC qualifiers was absolutely nothing to ignore there. I mean, that is a tough qualifier, especially when you consider the fact of some of the teams that didn't make it here.
Like all gamers.
Like Cerberus. I mean, these are teams that everyone was expecting, and Forest managed to best them. So you can't take them lightly.
No, and, you know, it's been a rough start for a lot of the teams, so it just is that way. There's only so many points available in every lobby, so, you know, some days it just isn't your day, and see if they can bounce back tomorrow. They still have more opportunities. Just looking at the cutoff, no idea where it's going to be here. I'm not even going to try to guess because I'll just end up being wrong.
True.
I'll let Martin handle that.
Yeah, Martin loves that kind of stuff. He loves being wrong.
He's the real nerd.
But 55 points, I'm thinking 55 points is probably a pretty good goalpost to aim for here if you're some of these teams that are in Group B. And finishing up here today as we see Nixie. He's going to hear those engines of T1 just off in the distance. But fortunately for both, I would say, ships passing in the night here.
Yeah, don't want any early issues. That is definitely one of those things that can spoil a game real fast. Especially it spoils your mental, right? You're down to 3 in phase 1, and you're just like, really? Like, come on, man. Like, and you're kind of just already feeling a little bit down and out. The Freaks, I saw Gumin in the hallway as well, and yeah, he was a little bit frustrated, to say the least. It has been a very very not good day. Here's that drive. They're just so good. Flash just happy to be the wheelman.
Honestly, I mean, Thanadol's
also very good.
Pretty cracked. I mean, like, he's one of those players that we always, you always talk about, like, okay, he's an insane player. We expect a lot from him. Oh no, Forest Gaming, after losing their first guy, now
Tough
They get a
angle.
little bit close to GOPAY as PWD and Spiro just waiting, playing with their food here a little bit, waiting to see if maybe he gets joined by some other teammates. But unfortunately for Kiss, he is all alone. The rest of the gang setting
Ya
up in different
elah,
spots,
ente
and
banget sih
PWD
itu mah.
will take advantage of that. And that's going to be Forrest knocked down to 2.
Yep, that's easy money for GOPAY. And again, the woes continue here today for Forrest. Trying to recover from an early loss, just talking about how painful those can be for your, obviously, late game hopes, your mental, all of it come unraveling relatively quickly as Scappy and others going to be trying to figure out how they want to take the rest of this game forward. This is a tough circle to judge. Phase 1, there's still a whole bunch of different directions that this can go, and if the games today have been any indication, they could go just about anywhere.
Truly, and well, really interesting to see how Bestia is playing this, considering that they had the El Pozo drop spot. They're doing this kind of 2-1-1 split, taking over a lot of real estate, but they're getting a lot of information as well as we see some highlights from that previous match. Bestia holding off the push from ROC to begin with here. I think it came down to just one as DraftKings. A little bit of work.
Anjir itu aneh banget sih sumpah.
The push from 17 just proving to be a little bit too much.
Ini juga aneh anjing.
But yeah, we have to give credit to DraftKings. I mean, DraftKings was able to go from no man's land and get over to that compound, that little shack, to get the revives off for his teammates. So we're just kind of getting a good glimpse of how the day played out.
Well, I think for Bestia, you might be, who knows, looking at that moment, depending on how these next 2 games shape up, as to like the turning point when DraftKings able to survive there, get back, get the reses, get them a few extra points as they get a little bit deeper into the game. Maybe could have been one of those moments that they just barely get through into the grand finals, and this is a little bit scary for TKL, and they're in the air.
That's why you throw down the smokes.
Is there going to be any more damage done? Doesn't seem like 17 really too keen to continue that pressure, but yeah, okay, we're going north on this. So this one might end up like north of El Pozo, northwest of El Pozo. There's a couple interesting spots up there. There's also some flat land to the east of Alcantara that does have some like dips and hillsides, but there's like a longhouse over there that kind of offers a lot of control. So GOPAY in control of that position currently. Let's see if they try to fortify that. Drop spot being anticipated outside of the crater edge. That would make a lot of sense. Teams love to get up there and just put those DMRs to good use.
Yeah, I mean, this is with these E-pickups, you have to keep an eye on where these guys decide to go, because there are some very high ground spots that are only accessible via
Gila sih John di Apollo sih, wah udah ini mah kayak sampai PES akhir dah.
But yeah, I mean, there's spots that you can play up there that nobody else can really access, and you can just kind of rain terror down among everybody that's surrounding you. So you can see Taikulo going for that first one. Now there is a 17 in the air right above that, and they are on track to go to that same location. So we'll have to see if they spot out Taikulo before they drop, or if they decide to go somewhere else. Meanwhile, E-Arena hugging that western edge of El Pozo. They've got Rock off to their east and T1 off to their west. So El Pozo, despite the fact that it's on the very southern side of this zone, still seeing a lot of action right now.
Yeah, this is actually maybe a little tricky for E-Arena. You would think being on the edge of the city, you've got control over it, but with some of these shanties that are out there and other things, it can be at times some of these moments where somebody's able to sneak underneath your nose and catch you a bit off guard and kind of disrupt your defenses. But 17 did end up identifying that maybe that high ground position already claimed. Haven did a little bit of damage.
Kabur guys ya,
find any further there, so just went for the opportunistic pull up, not connecting with enough, and the rest of Furia looks like they're backing off. I'm sure the sandstorm isn't making things any easier for them there.
Kind of helps you make that decision a little bit quicker, I would think.
jelas banget Pero anjing.
Petrichor Road, he's gonna get 2 of them as they get a little bit too close.
Apaan
and
sih?
on point with it.
Kali dah.
Find the double kill. And that is good news for Rock. Bad news for Petrichor Road as they are down to just 2 playing from that northern side of El Pozo.
They continue to just struggle today. I mean, they've got 28 points, but it hasn't felt good
It hasn't felt like a Petrichor. It's not what we were expecting.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. And you know, yeah, they won the first game, but it was off the back of kind of just everybody else fighting and dying.
Well, yeah, and it's also I mean, what have you done for me lately? They haven't really done much past that. You know, like you said, winning the first game, and now you're sitting here in game number 5 with 28 points. It's kind of like, okay, well, you really kind of haven't been doing much since then. So not what we expected from Pero, but again, plenty of time for them to right the ship, turn things around. I mean, we could say the same thing about Freaks. Everybody was just singing the praises of both of these squads coming in. So a little bit of a wheel spin to start things off, and Day Trade taking full advantage of that while they can. Barpo, meanwhile, had an interview just moments ago, and now all of a sudden he finds himself with Taiku Lei's cold 119 all by himself. I don't think anyone else is near him, and is he going to get somebody for free? He sure as heck will. And unfortunately for them, he is going to be he's going to get another one. Swaps to the shotty. Does he have another one in him? No. Barpo will prevent that from happening with a well-placed grenade.
Oh man, that's brutal for Divine, though.
Ngeri.
Just a player on the ground, and 119 is the emergency number for a lot of countries, and Divine's going to be calling it there. Sir, we have a thief in our house, and here's, they just drove up into it.
Just right in front of them, and yeah, the rest of Biel
Woo!
had plenty of information. I think the rest of his team was letting him know like somebody was on his way, and he delivered huge right there. And meanwhile, T1 is in absolute shambles. They have split off into two different directions. Trying to leave from that western side of the end all by himself, and now Visa and the VP boys. Lots of blood splatters coming off of that, but nobody dropping from the skies just yet, as it looks like Freaks will just barely get out of there alive.
I think Ibiza hit every player on the Freaks. Salute is on dire.
He's in
dire straits. That is not great for the Freaks. Where do you go here as well? Edges of the craters, just go for the central craters. I mean, if you go central craters, Day Trade's already there. This is scary. Okay, the house is outside. Those are open, but Day Trade's still here, still maybe going to do damage, and with how much you took on the way in, Salute going to get ripped out. He's not dead just yet. Another player going down. It's happening. It's Batulins. It's a shooting gallery.
Oh, they're just surrounded on all sides. Bestia getting involved here. DraftKings will find, Vinny will find at least one. The knock comes through. Mine's going in there. As Batulins, I think, knows that there's a knock player. That's a free kill if he can go ahead and flush heaven. And yeah, Twisted knowing that every point matters. Vinny will steal it away as heaven crawls out of the smoke and reveals himself. Ibby gonna get spotted here by Petrichor Road. So Pero, despite the fact that they're down to 2, they're still scrapping on in El Pozo as there's a 4-way fight. Look at this mess going on in Western Pozo as the blue zone arrives.
It feels like Virtus Pro may have been hunting for points or just trying to get out. I'm not sure which, but they're paying the price, and they're almost almost player there. Nixie trying to scooch on back, but I mean, you can see grenades in hand for E-Arena. They want to come through and stack up some more points for themselves.
I mean, it is just a free-for-all here with Rock, E-Arena, Virtus Pro, and Petrichor Road all looking down in this direction. There's just knocks going on everywhere. Smoke slowing the whole thing down. As you see, Nurin's going down to the blue here, and more fights going on as well. Between 17 and
akankah kira-kira Sigzy di sini masih mengendap-endap.
They've kept 3 up, which is admirable considering the just insanity of what's going on here with all these smokes.
Oh no. The grenade from RBN bounced in so nicely there. Solds, well, doesn't even need it. The blue is going to finish the job. Lyric storms in. He's sick of this. Wants to keep his team in this game as best as he can. Oh, thank God. Thank God for the boosts, I think. Oh no, he's not going to make it, you're right.
No, he's done so. Zizzy now the last player left alive. Unfortunately, at least for E-Arena, he's made his way inside the zone. So he might be in a spot here to take care of whoever else comes out. You can see Spiro from Geeke also coming down here to see if he can spot anybody slipping.
Mati dong dia juga.
Road still trying to make their way through. Ike's left. He's just giving up on life and gonna hope to maybe get that flush, but Santastico not gonna give it to him as he works around the edges of the tire fire. Zizzy not gonna spot the flush on Ike's left either, so a lot of points just going over to the blue here.
This has been an absolute mess in El Pozo. Somebody call the garbage collectors, because there's a lot of trash to pick up out here. It's scraps for everybody trying to find their way out. Type with a Panzer. Goodbye. That's something for T1, but they are not having a great game. They need to have a pretty decent final game here.
Type
can't really do too much more damage. Twisted Minds can see him from the high ground on the outside of the crater field's edge.
Okay,
so him trying to get out of here. He just kind of maybe blew up his own ride that he could have stolen, but had to go for the kill, had to get the points. I get it.
You gotta do what you gotta do, yeah. But Lou has just got a bead on him, unfortunately. So we'll see. I'm sure we'll see him churn up in the kill feed here very shortly. 17 Gaming, meanwhile, from that northwestern position, they've been dealing with TKL, they've been dealing with Divine, and now they can turn their attention over toward GK as we see. Yep, this is a replay of how Divine was dispatched. The last one up here in 7700. Just a nice little spray there off the push.
Yeah, pretty easy there for 17. Now they have PK, who's somewhat more entrenched. Could be tougher nut to crack. Hiruzen gonna be underneath the rock edge, but actually Lil Ghost is gonna see him, take him down. Found just enough of an angle up on top of that ledge.
Kata angle-nya bagus banget ya.
Quizzy, oh they're getting, okay, well
TKL dari atas.
Is getting involved, and things are going from bad to worse for GK. Although things also not going so good for 17.
I mean, you can see the difference that just mere seconds made here for Taikula earlier on in the game when they were the first ones in the air on the E-pickup, and they were able to take that high ground position away before 17 was able to get there, and they are using it to great effect right now. Now Spaceman from that lower side, Quizzy the last one up for GK, will hide behind those rocks, has a little bit of room to work around with, and fortunately for him, it looks like nobody else has the utility, or at least they're not willing to use the utility to flush him out. Xiaowu will expend a blue zone grenade and try to open up a little bit of room for Lil Ghost, but Spaceman is on time with the spray from the ARK.
Man, they are just so talented. Assault rifles, DMRs, doesn't matter for TKL. They are just on point this entire event. Now looking to continue to keep 17 and GK out of this. However, Forest maybe thinking about getting involved in this fight. They may want some points. Goodness gracious.
The sprays
gila.
just timeless.
Spaceman gila.
And he is running out
Satu lagi udah langsung ngasih.
be the only thing that slows Spaceman down here as Quizzy will get dispatched by Suze. As TKL now up to 5.
Satu lagi Spaceman nanggung pakai kali 4. Semua dimatiin pakai kali 4 sama Spaceman.
So you can see Spaceman and Suze now turning their attention towards that direction, and he will go down. Spaceman going to go down as well to Xiaowu. So just like that, it is all down to Suze. But 5 kills for TKL. That is a nice little cherry on top of the day they've had so far here.
Nah, itu udah enak aja udah nangkring.
5 kills on the game here.
Trying to find the low ground, trying to find a better angle.
Nembak apa?
Damage in with the M4, able to readjust, get the knock. That's a great repeat there.
20 rounds left though.
Yeah, he's trying to keep TE guessing as to where he's going to be. He goes down the hill, but Delwyn out in the blue outguesses him, takes him down. So the Expendables looking to get the res onto their PGC MVP, and definitely one of the best players we've had here at PGS 7 so far. Clories, see if he can be back on his feet, and yep, Forest now in a position to do some damage, potentially. Gotta hit those shots. DraftKing backing him off a bit.
Ooh, yeah, Scappy, unfortunately, just showing his back a little bit there. Xiaowu just gonna go down to the blue, donate that point over to the gods, as we have centered up right in the middle of Crater Fields. It has been a while since I've seen something just fall directly on top of these Crater Fields. We are down to, I believe, just 17.
Mulai di trapnya.
The Expendables and Forest, the only ones that are kind of playing around the rim still. And it looks like the Expendables have keyed in here on Forest. Scappy going to get knocked down to about 23 HP, but they don't know the Tanvu is right on their doorstep.
This is such a brutal way for Forest to potentially go down. Let's see if they can fight back. Yeah, Baron going to get Tanvu.
That's a big knock.
Yeah, that's the point man for the Expendables. Oh, Delwyn again out into the blue,
Yeah.
but can't win the second trade. Scappy prone down, not much else for him to do. The Expendables are going to wipe Force out. They didn't get a single kill out of any of that. That is brutal.
That's tough. That's tough. And well, fortunately for the
Kabur
Expendables,
betulin.
everybody back on their feet. But what do they have? How are they going to get down into the crater fields now that the circle has hugged a little bit more towards the east? You can see Bestia bringing everybody down to this compound to the
Sampel
south.
mana nih, aduh.
Right now, Freaks,
Belum
down to Human and Deal
menyala
right there
sangat-sangat hari ini.
Also, Day Trade, of course. Why wouldn't they be?
Nah, itu sih.
4 up in the dominant position here, but they've got their eyes on Furia, so they've got to clear them out. Twisted Minds again, also in the eastern side.
This is one of those circles that can really come down to smokes. Who's able to hang on to the most towards the end of the game? Who's able to find those moments? Because inside of the crater fields,
They've got
there's
one
some
2-seater.
Yeah, dude, this is
Okay,
a.
they've got a,
oh,
okay,
they've got another
a
one.
Bronco.
Okay, just it's time to do some sledding.
It's still gonna be rough, man.
Oh yeah, this is not fun. I mean, if you had some of the smoke grenade launcher smokes, you could probably get them pretty close to Day Trade, but now they're just gonna get cut down. It's Bestia, it's Day Trade. Everybody watching this Expendables push. Clory's gone, and now Day Trade on the hunt to do some more damage. Furia, who knows if they're gonna get involved. Tanvu gone. Yep, Furia is getting involved. Cruzeira is going to find the flush onto Duck Juice as well. Now you have one player left for the Expendables. We kind of knew that was going to take a little luck.
Yeah, that was, I feel like the storybook was written for that one, unfortunately. But the Expendables managed to get a few kills, and they're sitting pretty in third place overall. So I don't think they're too terribly beaten up about it. But that was great news for Furia that they were able to pick up a few of those, as they are in desperate need of points, sitting on 58 now, so they can feel a little bit more comfortable with one game remaining. They'll feel a lot more comfortable if they can pull off a win here somehow.
Ayo, mana?
That was one of those teams that we had a lot of eyes on. They really need stuff.
Ya ampun, flash ngapain? Untung aja. Flash sih gila banget ya. Masa minum di tengah jalan gitu anjing?
Yeah, now you have to assume that Flash is going to be able to get back over there, but that's yeah, that knock has Furia on their horses, and they're just dismounted. Day Trade not having anything to do with this push. Now it's Twisted Star, they're coming down in too, and they've got an open warehouse, I believe, for themselves. Yeah, they're going to claim this real estate, so Day Trade able to keep Furia at bay, but they have to cede over some ground.
Well, it was a partial collapse from Furia. They only sent 2, and they got 2 knocks.
Harus maju belakangan.
Since the other 2 remained behind, they weren't able to really capitalize on that. So I think that Day Trade should be able to get back up to full strength here shortly, as the circle will pop, and it's going to favor Bestia on that south side. Twisted Minds now on the clock. They've got to clear out their north. They've got to get rid of Day Trade and Furia if possible. Day Trade, as we said, they're going to hit every single one of these reses all back on their feet.
I feel like the Freaks should be thanking their lucky stars right now. These
Absolutely.
circles could not have gone any better for them. They have found a good spot, even though they lost 2 on that emergency pickup. They're able to weather the storm. I see some shotguns floating around in their hands as well, so they're ready for someone to make a crash at them. It may have to be
Masih dapat tuh
eventually,
Tiger.
but there's still another circle to go before that's necessary. Furia with some tires in bad shape, and now their team is in bad shape. They're just done.
Gila. Day Trade gila udah.
Again,
oh
I mean, they just collecting. It is just dominating this lobby right now. 117 points all the way, leaving no doubt. And they've got 4 left alive, and now they can turn
Ayo, betulin.
Minds. First of all, an initial spray from Tigger is going to get, I believe that Batulin's very low, but won't get the knock.
Jauh banget anjing Day Trade, Cok.
Open up a door here as Day Trade just uses those offensive smokes, forcing Twisted Minds away from the angles that they would prefer to be holding right now. And now Perfectix kind of looking at the last one. Day Trade just waiting for it. The first spray comes through.
Wah gila, boleh-boleh sih.
Being the bait, Flash going in for the spray. That is beautiful 2-man play coming out from Day Trade.
Gila rapi banget tuh.
My goodness, Day Trade. This team is on point in so many different ways. A grenade finds example. So just Batulin's left alive for Twisted Minds. And why not? Yeah, sawed off. Go for it. Tigger thinking about in the corner. Player in the smoke, they don't know where he's at. Matulins, though, gets sandwiched.
Man.
Dude, day trade.
It is not often that you see a team like Twisted get taken to the schoolyard like that.
Gila.
They just got
Gila, Refresh sih gila sih.
destroyed. Not even a knock coming through on a day trade. I don't even know if any damage came through in that 4v3. Day trade just, I mean, just clean as you like. Human gets knocked here, and I don't know if Deal will be able to get over there and get the res off. If he can, that would be absolutely huge. But Bestia, DraftKings and Mime, the duo, kind of working from the side, see if they can maybe get an angle on him as he's, yeah, Deal I think is just giving him up. I think Human maybe just telling him.
There's no way.
Yeah.
I mean, every team's going to be watching for the cross. Everybody in this lobby.
Never mind.
Oh, he did get there?
Okay.
I figured maybe they weren't going to give him the opportunity. I mean,
Kebalik
how
dong.
opportunistic day trade has been today, I just figured they'd be pouncing a little bit quicker. They're a step delayed, but that's okay because they probably are still going to finish the job. The blue zones are still there for them. They're layering them in there. Here come the frags. DL knocked. Shotgun out.
I mean,
there's just no hope,
Gila.
right? Yumi does get one. Is he going to get another? No.
that's going to open up a door, though. Bestia, you got to go through it while it's there. Tigger, they gave you a chance. Deal
Oh,
gave you a
jadi gila
chance by
sih.
getting that knock. Now it's a 4v3. Belmoth gets spotted out. That's good eyes on the part of DraftKings to keep Belmoth from going in for that flanking angle. Thanadol has managed to get to that hard cover, and now it's just utility being thrown left and right. 12 kills now for day trade. Vinny going in for the long flanking angle. Mime will get spotted out by Thanadol. That'll even things up here. The flank gonna get spotted out. Vinny will win the 1v1 against Flash,
Belmoth?
and that is great
Apa itu
news here for
Belmoth?
What
Bestia.
a beautiful nade from Belmoth. That was a really impactful one. That might have opened things up, but he gets outdone.
Sakit banget ya.
DraftKings there gets the best of him in the spray battle, so he has to go for the heal. But Bestia in tatters. 2 players left for both teams in terms of who's on their feet. Vinny, DraftKings looking to see if they can get this win and maybe get themselves into that grand finals. Belmoth and Thanadol not going to make it easy for sure, but Thanadol backed off. Good spray down from DraftKings again. He has been so clutch today in some of these moments. Is this grenade going to be on point? It bounces past the tractor just a bit too far.
I mean, this has been great stuff here from Bestia. They're doing everything they can, but DraftKings has to pull back just a little bit. He's got to anticipate some more offensive utility being sent his way. That deployable cover was doing wonders for him, and he's been doing a really good job of holding them, but now he can't keep eyes on them, so Belmoth and Thanadol gonna have to pull back, and I think Vinny realizing that, he realizes he's on his own. He's got to move around just a little bit, but look at all the open space he's got to work with. This is going to be really dangerous. Silzen, fortunately, still alive, can feed over a little bit of information to the rest of the boys, at least based off of their footsteps.
The thing is the circle where it's going to end up is in Bestia's favor. It's closer to the hilltop, so day trade has to be the ones to march forward. Damage done, but still no knocks, and I saw quite a few stuns in the hands there of the day trade players, so they might be able to just brute force their way through with that. They're out of smokes, they got to get on the move, but Vinny done with it. Bestia gonna come through with a huge win.
That is a beautifully done win there by Bestia. They were, I mean, that was a very 50-50 battle that could go either way. I mean, you figure Bestia in a slightly better position just because they have more room to work around with in that open field. But, I mean, the way day trade has been playing, nothing was ever going to come easy.
No, I totally.
Turun di mana ini? Resort ada orang. Puerto kan itu. Apa sih iseng banget ini? Kamu juga nih. Santuy ya kita di atas ya kalau begini mah. Oke sih.
Dom shoot.
Oke.
Cek. Wah. Hacker. Number one hack.
Gua hack. Wah, kalahin cok. Mana sih? Wah anjir lah. On my mark. Gila. Gua kena, dia juga kena. Babi lah.
Go, 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 go.
My bad. I see, I see, I see. Sini ngepick. Slow, slow. Carai. Akhirnya naik gol 1, let's go. Dan guys, thank you semua yang sudah mampir, thank you sudah like. Kita bertemu lagi di game berikutnya. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.